what's going to be the attendance and what's going to be the punctuality rate. And I must say that I'm very impressed that we actually managed to start on time. CVU events I've been at, I don't know how many I've attended over the last 10 years. They've always been on the dot. And today again we have an on the dot event. So I would request you to kindly stand up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We'll get into the program. So I would like to invite the Vice Chairman of CVU India, Mr. Gautam Basin, to come to the stage. I'm not going to talk too much about him because he's just come on a panel discussion where we'll have a good, elaborate biodata of his. However, there's something that I would like to tell the elevator industry. He comes from the facade industry, and the facade industry and the elevator industry, we are twins. And why do I say that? Both were launched in 1853. The safety elevator was at the Crystal Palace, and so was the facade industry. And so it's a twin talking to us.
Good evening. Firstly, apologies for my hoarse voice. I'll try and do my best possible. And again, welcome. It's really glad to see that we're finally in Delhi after being very Maharashtra centric for the longest time. I am going to talk in the capacity of the Vice Chairman of CVU, walk you through a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how can you get involved. CVU is the Council on Vertical Urbanism. It used to be called Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat and has been rebranded about a year ago. We simply build tall better. The world is moving to cities and cities are seeing more and more people coming to them for better opportunities, for better life. Some cities are working their way through the immigration. Some cities not so much. A lot of cities are struggling with it. Our purpose is to build dense, sustainable cities and do it in a sensible way. Like this slide says, we shape the future of rising cities and share the knowledge to build them. How do we do that? We convene industry leading experts. We share best practices in form of research papers. We track tall buildings around the world. Skyscraper Center is the portal that you should go to and check out a very detailed list of tall buildings on the world. We are also the foremost authority on certifying how tall your building is. So if you claim I'm the fourth tallest in the world, there has to be a CVU approval, there has to be a CVU audit to that effect. We also, like I said, recognize and celebrate tall building. And lastly, and most importantly, we advocate for responsible and sustainable solutions for building tall. That's the CVU world in a nutshell. There are some parts of the world we would like to be. There are some parts of the world where we are extremely well present. India is one of them. CVU in India was established about 16 years ago, which started off with the World Summit and then subsequently very successful line of events, and we're seeing more and more growth every year. This is the way the hubs are laid out. So you have the Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. We're in the process of looking at a South Asian hub as well, where we'll have stronger presence of us and our neighbors together. Coming to India, these four faces are responsible for our presence from a statutory perspective. So it's Anil, myself, Subodh, and Tak. We lead the statutory presence of the company here, all of us being directors. CVU India for the last 10 plus years has been primarily CVU Mumbai. We want to change that. These are the faces, these are the people who are responsible for the chapter's growth, or rather a sub-chapter within Maharashtra, which is where most of our events have been, which is most of the activities have been, including the regional conference that we hosted, Asia Regional Conference that we hosted in December last year. Very recently, we've started a chapter in Kerala. Trivandrum is the hub for wind engineering in the country, and we've got some very talented wind engineers who decided to put up a chapter there and then start talking about urbanism, not necessarily tall, but still responsible urbanism. Another city we're seeing a lot of growth is in Bangalore. Again, every city comes with different problems. Mumbai has a tall problem. Trivandrum may have a different set of problems. There may be an infrastructure problem in Bangalore. So they are trying to really address their city problems their way, almost by creating a sub-chapter. Now, what I would really like to see is some passion, some people who would put their hand up to start a chapter in Delhi here. Delhi being the capital, of course, has its own nuances of how they see the city and how the city is being run. So please reach out to any of us of how would you like to participate? How would you like to become a part of this movement? As a leader, you also need to be a member. What does the membership give you? I mean, this is the first thing people ask. And membership gives you access to resources, white paper, professionals around the world, gives you access to a lot of database, which is very, very interactive in nature. So you understand how the cities are evolving and how tall is evolving around the world. I think from the last count, there was close to 1,200 white papers, which are research-driven white papers that are published at CVU. As a member, you'll get access to all of them. They are all classified by discipline, whether you're a facade expert like myself, or a person from the elevator industry, or a structural engineer, or an architect, or a mechanical engineer. You'll find a lot of interesting database of how tall buildings are designed from your perspective, from your discipline. The interactive data that I was talking about has data from all cities in the world. So how cities are evolving, how tall is being built differently, and how cities are evolving in terms of heights changing. We're seeing a lot of trends moving around cities in different parts of the world, and this database allows you access to all of that. Like I said, the height criteria and the tallest, you can put a little stick on top of the building and say I'm the tallest, but then it also gets defined by the last habitable floor and then what's beyond that. So there are very stringent criteria of how you define the height of the building, and that's what we establish. Here are some of the tallest in the world, proudly bearing plaques on their forecourts saying that we have been told that we are the tallest in the world, or the second or the third by CTBUH or CVU. Another benefit in being involved is that you get access to a platform which is called Engage. Engage will allow you access to every other member in the world, and that quite literally opens up doors to asking questions, engaging in conversations, and also become part of these assemblies that we have in place. Now, you may be a very core discipline expert. You can become a part of that assembly, and you can literally form the narrative and even lead it to a good extent. What does it lead to eventually? We host a number of events. Now, this particular event is a tier 4 event, which is a local chapter event, completely organized and led by us. But other than that, you have forums, conference, and summits. So forums are national events. We are going to have India national event early next year. We have regional conference, which was hosted by Mumbai the last year in December. And then we have the international conferences, which are called the summit, which are the most well-attended conferences around the world. This year's regional conferences are happening at these locations. Jakarta is hosting the Asia Regional Conference in December 8th to 10th. If any of you are interested, you can look it up. These are, and I think there's one slide missing here, which is also important. In October, London is hosting the annual conference, which is the summit. If any of you are interested, you should look that up as well. There are types of membership. I'm getting into a little bit of a sales mode here, where you have different tiers that allows you different level of access, including visibility on the portals, including visibility on Skyscraper Center. Your company gets recognized there, including a link leading to your website. And then that sort of reduces as you go down to silver. If you're a not-for-profit or government organization or an architecture school or an institution, you can go for the non-profit governmental tier as well. What's really great about being in this country, being in India, is that we get a special membership rate under emerging economies. This has been a bit of a fight with them, which we successfully won in, I think, about 2 years ago. And what used to be 250 USD for professionals in India is now down to $50. For academic or retirees, it's a much lower tier. For students, it's a nice cup of coffee outside somewhere. And with that, I'd like to close the introduction. I think vertical urbanism is not possible without elevating solutions. So I'll pass the mic back to Tak to take it forward.
And even like this is possible only because of the sponsors who step forward. And we've got 4 sponsorship presentations today. First, I would like to invite our platinum sponsor, Schindler. I think you could put a hand to them. Thank you very much for your sponsorship. And I would like to invite Stephen, please do come over and give us your thoughts on this.
Thank you, Tak. It's great to be back in the north and having a CDU conference in Delhi. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to talk today about some innovations that move cities forward. My name's Steve Newton.
As India urbanizes at a pace the world has never seen, with 500 million people moving to cities in search of better lives.
So what I'd like to do first, before I talk about these innovations, is give you a short overview of Schindler, India.
As India urbanizes at a pace the world has never seen, with 500 million people moving to cities in search of better lives, better jobs, and better futures, one thing becomes clear. Vertical mobility is now mission critical. From the metros to the Tier 2 cities now generating trillions, from premium towers to the hospitals and transit hubs that hold the nation together, elevators and escalators are no longer a luxury. They are infrastructure. And one company made that bet, choosing to be here when it mattered most, building not just elevators, but trust. India has been on the move, and Schindler has enabled that movement for nearly 3 decades. In 1998, Schindler came to India, not with an acquisition or a partnership, but with a fully owned subsidiary and a long-term bet on India's future. Our journey began with driving MRL adoption across the country. This is when Swiss engineering met Indian agility and scale, unleashing a journey that would move millions and transform a nation. From setting up India's first world-class E&E training facility, seeding local capability from day one, to designing products specifically for Indian conditions, from building a global manufacturing hub in Pune to eventually becoming the first MNC to manufacture elevators and escalators in India. This is Schindler, made for India. We spent years scaling through the passion of our people, building relationships the way India understands them, on ground and built on trust. At Schindler University, the largest E&E training facility in India, we built engineers as precise as the machines they mastered, young, driven, and deeply proud of what they build. 5,600 of them, across 50 cities, one shared standard of excellence and a safety culture that runs through everything we do. The proof is written across India's biggest, most iconic cities. 7 metro networks, international airports, marquee commercial towers, India's most premium residences. From the country's tallest towers and busiest terminals to its most trusted hospitals. Wherever people travel, work, live, or heal, we're already there. Our escalators carry 1 million commuters through transit networks every day. Our elevators raise families in the towers that define India's skyline. When India builds something it simply cannot afford to get wrong, when millions of journeys depend on it, it calls Schindler. Then we went further. We ensured nearly 55% of our elevators are connected. We predicted failures before they happened. We gave customers live dashboards, technicians smart tools, and buildings a digital nervous system. Our port destination dispatch system moved people smarter, cutting wait times and personalizing every journey. We built Schindler to think as fast as India moves, intelligent, adaptive, future-ready. And we choose to grow differently, not just faster, but cleaner and greener, with responsibility built into every decision. Powered by solar energy, recycling, and water conservation, we are India's first elevator factory with IGBC Platinum certification and the first elevator company with product carbon footprint certification. Our commitment goes beyond the factory walls through scholarships and community programs that uplift lives, one student, one family, one future at a time. While we are the fastest growing elevator and escalator company in India through our relentless focus on quality, India is still just getting started.
The first being digitalization. And I want to talk about a journey about what's possible now and in the future. And it starts with a simple voice prompt.
Hey Siri, I want to leave.
We have a resident leaving her apartment and heading to the elevator. And she's heading to the office, which is in the same building. And once she's in the lift, we see the lift car change from a residential mode to an office mode using Schindler Metacore. Then we see Emma leaving the office. She likes using a smartphone. She calls the lift with the My Schindler app. We see another colleague arrive. She walks up to the terminal, the Schindler Port terminal. She's identified by facial recognition and the call's placed for her. We see Emma a bit later on heading home in the afternoon via a sky bridge to her apartment. And we'll just quickly go upstairs to the machine room and have a peek at what's going on there. And we have all the lifts with digital connectivity and enhanced maintenance. And we can also, with that data, provide Schindler Action Board to our customers. Emma arrives at her apartment, calls the lift, opens the apartment building door, and the elevator's waiting for her. And you may have noticed that this lift is conventional control. But with our My Schindler app and our recently released Schindler Fluid, we can now use the smartphone to call conventional control lifts as well. Once in the apartment, Emma realises that she's got a garden party on tomorrow and she wants to send out an invitation to other residents in the building. And with the My Schindler app, she can post a note, and once that's approved, it can come up on the notice board inside the lift car. Then she's going out in the evening and she orders a dress, which arrives via a robot. And that robot has travelled up and down through the lift using Schindler Collab. At the end of the day, Emma calls the lift and heads out for an evening in the city. And all these digital services are now combined under one digital ecosystem that we call Schindler Strat OS. And with Schindler Strat OS, we've now introduced our 4th generation of port terminals. Schindler Port Compact with facial recognition, a flat terminal, a classic curved iconic shape that we've always had with our port terminals with Schindler Port Contour, also with facial recognition, and then for projects that require a mechanical touch button keypad, we also have Schindler Port Contact. The second innovation I want to talk about is installation. Schindler has developed RISE, Robotic Installation System for Elevators. Now, the first time in the history, a robot can execute installation steps autonomously, safely, and with very high quality. Some of the benefits: improve worker safety and welfare on job sites, release people from noisy, dusty, repetitive work, so we can eliminate repetitive strain injuries. We can eliminate people getting exposed to silica dust, for example. With BIM integration, we can actually give back a real-time as-built model of what the lift shafts are. We end up with better quality installations, and we have the ability to drill high MPa concrete with Schindler RISE. We're seeing a trend now, especially in Mumbai, for the real high-rise towers to be using extremely hard, high MPa concrete. It's almost impossible to drill by hand. Yet with Schindler RISE, we can easily and efficiently drill that high MPa concrete. We end up with a faster installation process, which can lead to earlier handover of the project. And you can identify and promote your building as innovative. Schindler RISE in India, and the first project is Oberoi Sky City. Out of the 46 elevators in 8 towers, 15 of them are getting installed with the Schindler RISE robot across 3 towers, with in excess of 22,000 anchor bolts being installed with Schindler RISE. And that's just the first Schindler RISE robot. The second Schindler RISE robot for India has just arrived, and it will be deployed on another building site very soon. So from Schindler, innovation lies not only in the products we create, but in the superior methods that we use to bring your visions to life. Thank you.
Our next sponsor is Otis. I would like to invite Susan to. So when we started off, it was a very clear 10-minute cycle for each of the presentations. And Stephen, you set the bar perfect on the dot. Thank you very much. Susan, next is you.
Right. Sorry about that. So, as India reality aims for the skies and more buildings are crossing the 300-meter mark, we should probably take a minute to think that the future ready high rise building would probably not be about being the tallest build structure out there or having the fastest elevators. It would be about having the smartest and most intelligent digital ecosystem there. So, can we look at elevators that would learn from demand, adapt intuitively, remain cognizant of building capacity, support safe construction, enable connected services, and give the owner visibility at all time of the complete portfolio? So, hi, I'm Susan Marcus from the Service and Modernization business of Otis. And today I'll try to cover three things in the presentation, which is about intelligent passenger experience with AI-powered traffic management, flexible building cores, smarter construction, faster construction, and integrated portfolio views. When the destination control system came into picture, which is almost 1990s, it broke away, the compass broke away from the norm by offering the concierge, which means that the passenger is not just pressing the button to ask for a floor. He's also getting a building directory, he's getting a smart orientation. The screens were customizable. You can still do that by elevator bank, by time of day. So there's a lot of customization available in these solutions. But the question is now, can the lift know where I want to go before I press the button? So it starts with creating the data lake. And this is something which comes in the planning stage itself. So where could we get these inputs when we're doing the planning? So there are multiple ways. It could be the access control systems, beacon sensing, how the pedestrian is moving through the building, historical traffic patterns. So all these signals can go into an AI dispatching engine and build a richer understanding of how the passenger moves within the building. So this is the first step that we could take. Now what would be next? Machine learning. So what can machine learning do? There are 4 important capabilities that we would need to look at. Traffic prediction, predictive parking, daily scenarios, and performance auto-tuning. All these are critical for us to reach the goal. So if you look at some of the examples that we have of how traffic moves within the building, each and every building has this unique traffic fingerprint. And unlike us, it's not constant, it's dynamic in nature. So the dispatcher records the intensity of traffic through these various patterns, which you see, the mid-morning, the lunch, and so on. And over a period of time, it starts learning how it can build a predictive data set. Now, what can we do with that? So the first thing is we have measured in a real life, in a case study, in a building which is called the Fortune Center, by predicting what kind of accuracy can I achieve with AI. And the real-time data shows that about 95% accuracy can be achieved through this. So you can see that there is just a 5% error of median, and in a 10-minute call window, it's just about a 10% error. So there's a close alignment that we can build through these models on predictive and observed behavior on traffic pattern, and that can give us up to a 10% saving in average wait time. So is that sufficient? Can we take it to the next level? We can with digital twins. So in a digital twin, what we do is we break the journey up of a 24-hour journey into various blocks, and each block has its own pattern in which we study whether we can get to the level where we can build behavior of the elevator or responses to the elevator specific to the demands occurring in those blocks. And what has also been observed, and this is from a real case in 270 Park Avenue, that up to 20% saving in average wait time was obtained by looking at digital twins. Now I switch gears to look at some of the hard solutions that we could look at. The supergroup. So the supergroup is where you can mix the demand between various groups. So you can see here, there's a low zone and a high zone or a mid zone, which you typically have within buildings. But there would be periods of time where, let's say, you could borrow demand from other groups. A supergroup is a synchronous multi elevator grouping dispatching system. And this enables us to prioritize between the groups and enable traffic to move where it is required, the elevators to be dispatched where it is required. Now coming to something which is called the Skyrise Prime. And this is from the area which is much neglected, which is the cycle of construction for high-rise buildings. And the maximum efficiency that can be brought in here is through enabling movement of people safely in the construction phase. We are happy to say that we have just commissioned the first Skyrise elevator in Mumbai, in India, in one of the tallest commercial buildings, which is under construction right now. The Skyrise Prime in itself has the capability to go to up to 400 meters. It's 100% independent of the rest of the services which is happening in the building. And what is beautiful about this is by the time you top out the building, this converts into your final service elevator. We spoke about the Internet of Things, and I think it will be a recurring theme today because digital is here to stay. Various solutions which we have in place like voice, data, voice, and video, all focused on passenger reassurance, because we have now various profiles of passengers who are traveling in the elevators, and the need to stay connected is important. And we also can get to a level where Internet of Things can help us to get to predictive behavior on maintenance performance. What's also wonderful about the internet is it expands a world of opportunity to us. Robots and APIs, as we saw. There are a number of third-party services which the building uses today, and the ability for the elevator to become part of that ecosystem is something that can give immense flexibility. But it should be not an afterthought. I urge the councils like CVU to take this into the initial planning of the building itself so that you have a seamless experience when the building is finally commissioned. The possibilities are limitless. Having said that, from generic solutions, there are also campuses that want in-depth knowledge about how the elevator is behaving in their facilities. So the Panorama 3, which is an elevator management system, is now cloud-based. This has also got the flexibility to be on mobile platforms, and over 250 accessible solutions are there with playback modes and customized reports. This gives overall visibility to the owner, the facility manager, and sometimes even the end user when they want to get into detailed analysis on how the lifts are performing and what are the opportunities that they are to look at customizations. So in summary, for the smart and future-ready buildings that we are building today, the opportunity is to design an elevator system, a building core, a digital ecosystem, and a service model as one integrated strategy right from the beginning. Thank you very much.
Could I invite Fujitec, who's been one of our sponsors? Yeah, you're there. Thank you very much. So the bar has been set in terms of time.
Industry friends, CVU members, technical experts, and customers. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be part of this event today. My name is Vishwas Tambe. I take care of national sales for Fujitec. And we all today discussing about the smart futuristic solutions in vertical mobility. But in reality, as we know, once the project is completed or once the projects or the elevators are handed over to the customers, there is something called as a teething period, which we all know. So during this teething period, despite of futuristic solutions, despite of the smart technologies, we all face something like complaints from the customers on the various issues. Sometimes it is waiting times, sometimes it is breakdowns. And today for the high-rise building, this is something which is part and parcel. I mean, considering the overall installation time, handovers, and the fit outs, which is something which is a big issue in the industry. So we see during this teething period, a lot of issue with the material movement, with the overall passenger movement. So how to tackle this issue? So to tackle this issue, we have to have something which is a continuous monitoring of your elevators. When I say monitoring, there is of course a predictive maintenance or remote monitoring kind of systems. But today I'm going to talk about very briefly about the elevator management system. So my presentation is a very brief kind of presentation. I'll be talking about some of these topics. So when it comes to the building planning, which is a very critical decision, so elevatoring in high rise or a mixed use kind of a building, your core space doesn't generate any profit. Okay, so it is always objective to minimize the core space. On other side, for the sufficient traffic handling, you have to have a corresponding number of elevator based on the number of floors, based on the population, based on the parking floors, based on the restaurant floors. So it is like a clash of objectives. So once the elevators are installed and once it is in operation, it is very difficult or challenging to improvise the performance without understanding how your elevators are performing in terms of all the performance parameters. And as we know, most of the, once the elevators are operational, the complaints or the performance related issues, it is mainly, I would say, user based kind of experiences, wherein even if the passenger is waiting for 5 minutes, sometimes they will claim that I was waiting for elevator for almost 15 minutes, but the elevator was not available. And we need to have a methodological approach to understand the behavior of the installed elevators. So when it comes to the elevator management system, what about the Indian codes or European codes, what they are talking about? So mainly our codes are focusing on the passenger safety, the protection of the passengers, and the installation requirements from the safety, comfort, and whatever main parameters we have from that point of view. So elevator management system is something which is mainly driven by the customers, mainly driven by the smart buildings, mainly driven by the tech savvy kind of operation the building owners or the end users are expecting from that project. And of course, the smart integration of building management system and elevator management system can have a hand in hand, and they can have a efficient operation of the elevators. When it comes to the emergency operation, there are certain features like firefighter recall or blocking the elevators. This is something which is important, and NBC 2016, the elevator management system aligns with the requirement of NBC 16 code. So what is elevator management system? So it is an intelligent platform that controls and monitors your elevators consistently and continuously. And when it comes to big group or a high-rise building, it is something which is really critical. So the primary purpose of elevator management system is the passenger flow. The flow should be efficient, minimizing the overall waiting time, travel time, the energy efficiency, and the equipment reliability. That is something which is really important from the elevator management system point of view. The core functions, as you see on the screen, the real-time monitoring. This monitoring is in the each and every parameter of the elevator systems, the performance parameters, the mechanical parameters, the electronic parameters, traffic analysis and dispatch. I mean, how your elevators, I mean, once you sell the elevator, there is one advertisement of Maruti Suzuki, kitna deti hai? I mean, how your elevators are performing, that is something which is we have to indicate to our customers. And of course, the remote diagnostic and energy monitoring, which can be done through elevator management system. What are the operational and business benefits? Of course, the availability can be improved based on the planning during the peak hours, during the non-peak hours. Centralize operational efficiency as the other amenities and the other facilities of the building, which can be managed from your BMS room, elevators can be also included into that particular mapping. Data-driven decision, as I said, I was part of one project wherein during the installation and post once the elevator was handed over, almost 2 years the customers were complaining about the overall performance of the elevator. And what was the real issue? The original group of 5 car, it was divided into 1 3 car and 2 simplex elevators. One was dedicated for the fit out, one elevator was dedicated for the garbage collection or the facility thing. So actually the passengers or the end users and the building management, they were not aware that what exactly the elevators are performing, because with whatever the original configuration of 5 elevators, the end users were only using the 3 elevators, which is like 60% of the planned elevator system, which was creating a lot of issues. But we couldn't answer because that time this particular management system was not part of that particular package. So in modern buildings where we can implement, of course, in the high-rise buildings, considering the traffic demands, airports wherein you have n number of installations, elevators, moving walks, escalators, hospitals and healthcare, and smart building whenever they want to have a real-time kind of monitoring of the elevator systems. Some of the basic monitoring features: your car position, direction, door status, load, occupancy, all the technical mechanical parameters. In terms of control, you can actually block elevators, you can dedicate it for the VIP operation, parking. So there are a lot of functions and control we can provide with the elevator management system. These are some of the live system dashboards which I have taken from our own system called as Imonic. And as you see on the screen, it indicates how your each and every elevator is performing, what are the number of trips, what are the general waiting time for each and every elevator. This is another view, multidimensional, wherein left is giving the actual picture of your elevators. If the building is having a specific layout or architectural design, the elevators can be actually mapped on the as per the plan of that particular project. So that mapping can be done and you can really understand which location and which elevator where you are struggling with the issues in that particular system. Some of the features, like as I mentioned about parking, VIP mode, independent operation, this can be controlled from the BMS room. And of course, as I said, the real-time monitoring of your smart technologies. So it will give you the exact movement of your each and every call, each and every elevator. It will show you the which specific journey was delayed, which was within the time frame, and which is under maintenance or breakdown. So these are all basic features and system benefits what we can get from elevator management system. The communication flow is very simple. We have 4 zones. First is your elevator or escalator control zone. Second is a gateway, which is authenticating the overall protocol sharing. And all the data will be saved on the cloud basis. And then it was transferred to the monitoring system of the client BMS room. I have a small AV, which is we have taken from the live system. The various boards what we have. Real-time analysis of the parameters. The travel diagram of, as I mentioned, each and every elevator. So you can collect for each and every installation. Let's stop. So thank you a lot. Like I think I have completed within the time.
Yeah, I would like to invite our final presentation, technical presentation from TK, my good friend Hans. And we had a little bit of a debate before we started as to who would be the tallest. I think you might have just been beaten. Okay, you just might have been beaten. Yeah.
So thank you very much for also from my side. I'm Hans Sacherer. I'm coming from Germany, TKE Germany. I'm head of high-rise sales support, which means my team and me, we support architects, developers, investors in high-rise building planning, vertical transportation planning globally. And what I brought with me is what we just launched at MIPIM in Cannes. We call this Build Beyond Limits, but more important is our new product positioning with dynamic high-rise by TK Elevator. For this purpose, I brought with me a movie because Tax said to me, I have 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I cannot bring over much more than a movie.
What moves you? Is it the freedom to design and build beyond the limits of what you thought was possible? Groundbreaking innovation? The confidence that comes with secure, reliable AI-powered digital technologies? Dynamic passenger management for seamless, personally tailored journeys? Service that's designed to excel? Or a trusted partner who goes beyond barriers and expectations? If it moves you, it drives dynamic high-rise. A holistic, digital-first approach designed to set new benchmarks for uptime, availability, flexibility, and efficiency. This innovative platform incorporates decades of experience in helping high-rise customers to build beyond limits. It starts with the TK Elevator portfolio for high-rise, featuring advanced single-deck and double-deck systems, twin elevator, and specialized high-rise applications. By combining this with its high-rise competence center for advanced vertical transportation, TKE can design an optimized solution for your building with a reduced shaft footprint and increased rentable space for elevated performance. Intelligent systems and energy-efficient solutions synergize for maximum precision, transparency, and life cycle performance, now and in the future. Whatever moves you drives us to move beyond. Welcome to Dynamic High-Rise.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what moves you? What moves you drives us in dynamic high-rise. I brought with me just 3 pillars of our new approach for dynamic high-rise. First of all, it is inspiring design in a way. If you know our product portfolio in high-rise, we have advanced single-deck elevator systems. We use double-deck systems. We have flexible twin elevator systems, which is capable to move 2 cars independently in one shaft, and of course also other high-rise applications. So mechanically and also from terms of number of elevator cars moving flexibly, totally flexibly in a tower, we have the completest product portfolio on hand. Together now with AI capabilities, and we have seen a lot of slides already also from my colleagues here. I don't want to repeat the things. It's always about how can you manage more dynamically the demand in buildings without maybe cheating, taking away from other elevator groups something. We have more elevator cars available. We can then guide and use them independently so that we have a complete high-rise portfolio, connected high-rise portfolio. The elevators are connected and so optimized across the full high-rise life cycle. And this not only today and when it has been installed, but also with machine learning. It starts from day one, and then also with machine learning and the capabilities and all the parameters in place where the learning starts. We learn every day from traffic patterns, and we can use this in an agile and very transparable way. Future-proof experience means also that we use AI to help our customers. We have a predictive and personalized, seamless customer flow and experience flow. And if we go now a little bit deeper in the different subjects, first of all, inspire design. We help our customer to build, first of all, the most efficient elevator cores that are possible. We have a very, very broad toolbox for this, already mechanically since 20 years, elevators like Twin are in place. We use these elevators now in a very modern way, that we combine the best suited elevator products in a way that you have, of course, not only single deck elevators, you have twin elevators, you have double deck elevators, you have special application elevators, so that we can serve our customer best and bring out a very, very thin and slim elevator core. You can see here also in this lobby that lobby heights and high lobby heights are not a problem with our products. So you have a bright lobby when customers come in. This makes always a very good impression. We optimize the traffic flow so that it's very efficient and with reduced average waiting times for passengers, and energy efficiency comes along as well, because together with AI, we can predict better traffic patterns and also use all our parameters of the elevators and adapt them in real time without any intervention. So this make modern mobility work smarter, and your vision speaks louder. If you come to the second point, to optimize the ecosystems, it's a data-driven world and a future-ready system, which means together with the machine learning and embedded cloud-based capabilities, we can, for instance, also through the connections and with subscription, we can download new dispatcher algorithm so that no intervention on site is necessary. So this helps also to keep your buildings, your high-rise buildings, not only on top level today, but also in future. What is important is also secured cyber security when you have everything connected and exchanging with each other. So we are certified, of course, with also our components and product with the right norms for it. Proprietary simulation software, algorithms, and modeling is in use. That means we have our own traffic simulation program. We use exactly the algorithm that is then also delivered to the site, so that we can, together with our customer and with the KPIs we get from them, make the exact modeling. And also for modernization building, I think it's clear that if you have only a certain given number of shafts available, and we can give you a hand here, because we can improve the handling capacity with more elevator cars in these shafts, working flexibility completely independently, and this is a big improvement then. So this means dynamic. This means dynamic high-rise, not to be only dynamic today, to adapt to traffic patterns and also to unpredicted situations, but also in a way that everything is smart and smoothly. The power of AI and proprietary algorithm, of course, why we do this, it gives again a 10 to 50% shorter average waiting time than we had before. We have also reduced energy consumption, which is very important. It's coming more and more also here in India, but all over the world, it's important to be sustainable. The dynamic response also, even to unexpected situations in the building. We have, of course, the peak times we simulate as well, but the simulation is as good as the parameter inside. What we do, of course, is lifetime parameters also taking out from the towers, and our AI comes pre-trained to the site, so that a lot of traffic patterns, if it is a residential building, is it an office building or a hotel and the like, is already pre-trained with the AI. It's how it works. It's a digital first approach by design. It's not retrofitted, it's by design. Our latest dispatcher algorithm and the controller have such high computing power nowadays that we control up to 255 cars in an elevator group. Now you would say, why 255 cars in elevator group, 6 or 8 or 10 is the maximum I need. But if you were here and carefully listening my presentation from last year, I showed you also the multi, where we have, of course, maybe hundreds of elevator cars in a building in the future. It detects utilization based on elevator configurations, number of stops, more than 250 parameters are taken in consideration. The embedded intelligence secures, let's say, the connectivity enables data-driven decision-making on that. Third, now, future-proof experience, next generation AI-enabled elevator system that dynamically adapts to shifting traffic pattern and real-time demand. As I already said, this could be today, but also tomorrow. I mean, if I have a tower with, let's say, a lot of different tenants, let's say multi-tenant as we call it, it's a very easy traffic flow. You have no multiple stops for interfloor traffic. But imagine that you have maybe thought about that only at the beginning. You had maybe a multi-tenant building, but over the time it's maybe a single tenant building, or it is a change in the tenants, so that you have much more interfloor traffic. And this is where dynamic high-rise comes also into place. And this is not only by an algorithm, it's also making it physically capable together with all the elevator cars which are available. Here pays off if you have a lot of flexible elevator cars, as we can deliver not only from today on, but also since 20 years with Twin in place. Shifting usage of building areas, evolving life cycle priorities, but also AI-driven insights that learn and that adapt continuously in real time. And because I have only 5 minutes, one sentence to the predictive maintenance for improved availability and uptime. This is, of course, also a feature. We have connected our elevators with our so-called Max predictive maintenance tool. With this and all the data available, I mean, the elevators today, they are equipped with many more sensors, cameras in the car, outside of the car, to allow us to monitor and have in real time all this data available, so that we have uptime improvement, availability improvement, and also the possibility to react before even breakdowns occur. With this, and I don't know how much time it took, but I think not more than 5 minutes, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So while the setup for the panel discussion, and trust me, it's going to be a fairly interesting panel discussion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to request the Vice Chairman of CVU to sort of acknowledge the sponsors while we do this. So could I first invite, is Amjad here from Shinlo? No? Malkesh, if you could come over. Malkesh. Susan from Otis, thank you very much. Shwastam. Uday, is Uday here? Ravi from ISA. Ravi, who's there from ISA? There's nobody from ISA. I knew they are here. Where are they? Okay. Priyanka from IC, where is she? They're not there. We don't have the time for it. Okay. That's it. We will. So we start our first panel discussion, and I have the privilege of inviting the chairman of CVU India, Anil Hira. I don't know where to start talking about him, and he is one of the few non-elevator people who insist that you get the elevator core right. I've been involved with him in a number of projects, and I know of there are instances when he's refused to get into designing the structure, the core, till he is sure that the elevator design is in place. And I don't think we could get a better person to moderate this session on elevating and the trends. Just to give you perspective, what's the tallest building in India at the moment? How many meters? 300. How many 200 plus buildings? He's done more than 200 plus buildings. He's been involved in the design of a number of very tall buildings, including the Mile High. He's given lots of things, and he keeps saying that his core competency is to convert dreams into reality. Now, these are a lot of stuff. There are two things which I figured out about him in due course of getting to know him. One, he is a Formula One freak. I mean, Formula One is something that it. And last night I figured out one more thing. In addition to structure, he also had a desire to become a chef, and he actually ran a restaurant, a Mongolian grill restaurant for a couple of years. So what a wide spectrum of activities, from the tallest structures to everything. And all yours.
Thanks a lot. By the way, I lost a lot of money in that Mongolian barbecue restaurant and got back to my profession. Okay, we're going to have the panel discussion. So can I, just to cut the introduction short, can I get all the panelists to come here? And while they're coming on board, I'll do a brief introduction. So can we get everyone? Kunal, come here, Kunal, Amit, Rajneesh, Herday, Vishwas, and Uday. I'm sorry, I'm going to call you by your Christian names. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So Kunal's here, coming here. He's a COO of Unity Group, a well-known development company. Yeah. No, I'm going to sit there. So he's a COO of Unity Group, established a development company, so he's representing a developer. He did have a previous history of being in various companies, including DT, Otis, was it? Yes, including Otis, but he's representing a developer. Next one, Amit Gangal, and I had the privilege of working with Amit, but Amit is an architect, so I'm going to give him some really hard questions. He's got a practice in Delhi, and he's been involved in several high-rise buildings in Delhi, including the tallest, which is Spiral. And in fact, I think I was involved in that. Rajneesh Agarwal, he's a MEP consultant. He's got an MEP consulting firm, but he was also involved in the elevator business. And sorry, I'm going to keep it very quick. Herday, he's a director, Otis India, Northern Division, and so he's one of the suppliers, and so we're going to put him in the supplier category. Vishwas, he's the national head of the Fujitec India, another BT supplier. So there he is over there. And the last one, Uday Roy, electrical engineer by background, 28 years in the elevator industry, and he is with TK Elevators. So they are the 6 panelists, and the funny thing is that there's no VT consultant here, so I'm being the moderator. I can be a little bit flexible. So there's an empty seat there, and Kat, I want you to sit there because I need someone to represent the elevator consulting business. Okay, so we're going to make it quite informal. I think we're representing a lot of stakeholders, and me being an engineer, and I think one of the things in India is that we don't recognise that a tall building, it really is a multidisciplinary solution. It's not the owner with the money, architect, they design the building and then pull all the engineers and say put some numbers to it. It doesn't work. And so an elevator is a very important component. And so why is vertical transportation still an afterthought? It's an afterthought, and that's a big problem. So my first question, we would never design the structure, facade or fire strategy as an afterthought, right? But why does the vertical transportation still enter the discussion at a late stage? And I have to ask this first question to Amit, because you're the architect, and so what are your thoughts?
First of all, I'd like to thank CVB for inviting me here and with such, experts in vertical circulation. So Anil, yes, you are right. Still in India, when we are doing the concept stage and the schematic stage, the consultants for VT is, still we have to really ask from the client that, we need VT here so that we can fulfill the vertical circulation requirements. And, it happens in a couple of my projects. I still remember, working with TAC and Anil in one of our projects, where we have to move 6,000 people in 70 floors. And initially, with my consultants, with my partners, they requested for 40 shafts. And thankfully, TAC come in. He gave us so many options. You can go twin, you can go double deck, you can, probably go with destination control. And those 40 shafts or 40 elevators were then reduced to 24. So, with his help, because he came in little early in that project, we have been able to reduce a lot of space in terms of core. The total area of that was 20,000 square feet, and initially it was coming out to be 8,000 square feet of core area, which was further reduced to 6,000. That is kind of, saving for the developer a 2,000 square feet of sellable area on each floor till 70. So that is how, the requirement of the VT consultant is very important for any of our project from then on.
So what are you doing about it now?
Trying my best to convince client.
Yeah.
I hope they are not charging that much as they used to.
Yeah.
So it is difficult.
Kunal, can you comment on that? How do you feel? Are you getting VT consultants?
So, primarily, I worked with Otis. So I know a bit about the elevator industry, and so we may not need a VT consultant at all times, but for sure when it comes to high-rise buildings, it is definitely required. Yeah. And when you were saying something about the architects being involved or not involved, I must have met at least 100 plus architects in my time when I was working with Otis. And I'm talking 2004 to 6 or 7. I still see them, and the architects, I'm sorry for this, I'm being as honest as possible. The architects still don't know anything about elevators. Okay, I don't know how many architects are sitting in this room right now, but they're still very naive. They're still very, very, they can ask for anything under the sun when it comes to an elevator. Yeah. And as far as a developer's perspective is concerned right now, I'm still facing the same problems. The architect comes to me and asks me for absurd things. He's talking about a 6 meters per second reverse opening, and he says, "Can you put a glass on the side?" And I'm like, "What all do you want, boss?"
But I had to ask a question.
Sure.
I mean, architect is still a consultant. You're the ones that appoint the consultants. So shouldn't you be outlaying money for the other disciplines?
For sure. The only element is that you only have maybe about 3 or 4 vertical consultants, vertical transportation consultants in India right now. There are plenty more which are required right now. Okay, and not everybody would say that I'm constructing, something else. Even a small building requires a VT consultant. But you don't have so many VT consultants in India today. Possibly, if you had, offshoots roaming around in the market, they would possibly help, I would say.
Sure, look, maybe a comment from our VT consultant.
Sure.
Does it involve a lot of work for an initial concept approach? Because I would have thought, a bit like structures, that you only need 1 or 2 days effort to get everyone on the right path. Tak, can you comment?
Could I just start with commenting on what Amit said? I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was 24 double decks, became 24 single decks. The speeds got reduced. Number one. Cost of VT consultants needs to be reduced, right? Do the architects reduce the cost? Do other consultants reduce the cost? Do the structural consultant reduce the cost? Why is it that the lifeline, the cost has to be reduced? Okay, now coming to this particular aspect, we still are in infancy when it comes to VT consultants. And I've lost a lot of hair. I didn't have too much of hair. I lost a lot of hair trying to sort of explain the impact of it. And you can see buildings all around the country today that are struggling because of inadequate elevating and afterthoughts.
I mean, one of the things that I've just observed from the previous 20 minutes, technology. So I'm going to ask one of the VT suppliers that, say if there is a shortage of shafts, and with the technology now, can we modify the VT system using the technology to make the lower number of shafts work in an efficient manner, applying the technology? Maybe any one of the 3 suppliers can comment on that.
Thank you very much for calling here and having a panel discussion. I have a more idea and maybe detailed idea about elevator, but I think the point you have asked, there are technology which are supporting elevator efficiency and transporting system maybe in an efficient manner. Our presenters have shown in there by like AI or destination control method, double deck or twin elevator. All these are going to support, and maybe in a lower space, elevator will become a adequate numbers.
Okay. No, I'm talking about an existing building with an existing number of shafts. That can we apply AI and technology to modify the system to make it work?
Yes, there are. And even we have did in some buildings where we have gave suggestion from our side as an elevator expert that by adding and changing controller and adding destination control, your transportation or vertical transportation in building can improve. And by changing speed, if hostway overhead and pit allows that, so we have converted their speed from 1.5 to 1.75 or maybe to 2 meter also. So these 2 factors definitely in existing building supports customers and manage the transportation system.
Okay, let's get on to the next theme, and I think we've talked a lot about it. It's cost versus value. And of course, the developers, they often see lifts as a cost and a reduction in lettable area in terms of core design. How do we shift this conversation from the cost to value for India? Because I think that's needed, I think.
You're asking this for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be very honest with you, and there are a lot of, people whom I deal with out here, and we've bought elevators from almost all the companies. The overall percentage when it comes to buying an elevator, and I should not be saying this kind of forum, but, it's an honest forum, and so the overall percentage of my top line is so minuscule that it does not make a difference. Whether I'm going with an X, whether I'm going with a Y, Z, anybody. All the elevator companies for me are about the perception that I want to portray in my building right now. If I want to portray that I'm getting, an X brand, I'm not naming any brand right now, okay, but I'm getting an X brand, that's how I want to portray my building. Because the costing overall does not make a difference to me. Okay, so that's definitely there. It does not make a difference. Yes, on a minuscule stage, when I'm looking at it from one perspective, that one of them has quoted, let's say 20 crores, the other one has quoted 21 crores, the third one has quoted 22 crores. Definitely, you know, there's a thing which comes in my mind that I would go with somebody who's quoted 20 crores. But overall, in the scheme of things, when I'm looking at a 2,000 crore rupee project, I'm finalizing the elevators for 20 crores, it does not make a difference.
Do vertical suppliers agree with that?
I'll just add regarding the overall costing of the elevators and the values. So let's take an example of a commercial building or an IT park, wherein IT park you find like 2,000, 4,000 people, those who are working in those kind of facilities. If your elevator system is not appropriate or suitable as per the number of people those who are working in that building, you just imagine the peak hour scenario wherein your IT employee spending 1 additional minute in the morning time and 1 additional minute while leaving. So 2 minutes, whatever he's spending during the lunch break or whatever break, say 4 or 5 minutes they are spending. Just multiply 5 minutes delay into number of employees, into number of days and number of months. So whatever the cost of that IT resource guy wasting because of the improper elevator system, that would be more than the actual elevator cost, right? So we have to consider all these factors, and that is the reason your first question is very important, to have a VT consultant to understand all these scenarios and have an appropriate solution in terms of number of lifts and the required technologies.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever regretted reducing the lift provisions? Kunal?
So normally in our buildings, at Unity Group, especially, we would have at least a 1+. We would never have a 1-. We would always have a 1+. If we require 8, we would possibly have 9 or 10. That's how we normally keep it. But in a lot of buildings in Delhi, I see that it's always 1 less, or rather 2 less. And that's definitely the case. We don't reduce the number of elevators because you understand that the more vertical we go, the better it is for us. And if we are able to do that, nothing like it. So we don't reduce that ever. But a lot of developers do that, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
Okay. Let's move on to the third theme, the occupant experience. For the average occupant, the lift is the building. Because when you think about it, for the occupier, you don't look at your building. You go into your apartment and you look at your apartment, and the only thing you're experiencing in terms of the building performance is to get there. And so that's probably the most single most important daily experience in the tall buildings. And I think some of the visuals that we saw before confirmed that. So how do you address that, Amit, as an architect? Do you think about that? Because architects tend to think about what puts their building on the magazine.
I think it's the experience. I'll start it on a different note. Yeah. It took me for 20 kilometers, it takes me around 1 hour to reach in a traffic time. Yeah. What if I have a mixed land use building in which there are multiple lifts where I don't have to take out my car, I don't have to go out of the building, and it's just push of a button. That is what I call convenience. That is what I call effortless life. Probably rather than moving around and wasting my time sitting in the car, I think it is better that I can give that time to my family. I can have something effortless, convenient, and I must say where the time is valued, the time is money. So that is how I take this question too.
Yeah, yeah. See, in India, everything's happening very quickly, and the end users, whether it's commercial, residential, are new to the game. You know, people as office workers, as residential owners, it's the first time they're going to be going into a 60, 70-story building. In fact, they're quite proud of the fact that, oh, I've got my apartment on the 70th floor, because they don't have a clue what it takes to get there, and that they haven't really lived in that 70th floor apartment. And so how do you measure what's the waiting time and the travel times for India? Because we haven't got any data, and the mums and dads don't know what's good and what's bad. And so I'm sort of asking the question to everyone, I think one by one, how do you come up with the criteria for waiting time and travel time, and what do you measure it against? Because at the moment, today, the mums and dads will be happy, but in 20 years' time, they see another building because they find that it's an absolute pain, and in 20 years' time, they're going to get new buildings that are going to be a lot quicker, and they're going to shift, and the value of your building is going to go down dramatically in a very short period. So maybe we start with someone that hasn't said anything. So what is the waiting time, and how do you?
Actually, if you see in case of India, major buildings are designed without VT consultant. They first decided in this residential building or this mixed use building, I have this much lift core. Fixing the lift core, they try to justify what would be the waiting time. So they go the reverse way. Even the elevator supplier comes and say, this many lift core is not adequate, you need to increase. Then we always audit, we may be way off from this competition. So this is the practical fact. And major buildings are not getting designed considering even present populations. Future populations is a little bit of different. So we need to work a lot to right numbers of elevator in a right building. If building uses are different, your quantity of lift, capacity of lift, speed of lift could be different. It is not like that we can increase the speed and we can get a better waiting time or lesser waiting time. It is not like that. So we need some specialization job before the designing of the lift in a building.
Anil, I would just add here, India is obsessed with the mileage. I mean, in my presentation, I mentioned that it depends on what is the overall mileage of the elevator system. So waiting time and your handling capacity, these are two important parameters when it comes to elevators. And I think most of the OEMs, they have their own softwares wherein they provide data like what is the waiting time, what is the handling capacity, what is the travel time. So it is a practice which all of us are following. I mean, in some cases, in some areas, maybe it can be a gap, but at least for the high rise and a big commercial or a hotel kind of projects, we are providing this kind of traffic analysis. So the end users or the stakeholders, they are aware of what OEMs are thinking apart from the VT consultants recommendation, what are the parameters the elevators are giving.
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to work out whether people are thinking about the future. And I'll give you a good example in Dubai. My office building's in Dubai, right? Quite a good building, nice building, I won't name it, nice building. And now when I go at 9 o'clock or 8:30, sometimes there's 50 to 100 people queuing for the lifts. And we probably paid more rent because we're on the top floor of the office segment, right? My previous MD, we were going to seriously shift out of that building because he was sick and tired of spending 10, 15 minutes getting up to the office during the peak time. And so what I'm saying is that it's might not be a serious problem now, but in 10 years' time when you've got competition, it could be a serious problem. And so I'm just wondering whether whether everyone realizes that this could be, we've got a very, slightly immature stage we're at in India, because the user, the mums and dads for residential, the office workers, they've got nothing to compare with. So that's my concern. So Have you thought about that? Kunal,
So, Anil, I'd like to add a couple of things here. So, two things very quickly, what probably, while we are working on a couple of projects together with Anil's company, one, I started my career with Otis in 1994. And like you, I am a MVP consultant also. Like you, I also opened a restaurant and burnt a lot of money in that. But that's a different matter. But we are also doing VT consultancy. So PDA is involved in at least 50 to 60 high-rise buildings today. And being a MEP consultant, whether we have this mandate of doing the VT consultancy or not, but because of the passion and the first love of being from the elevator industry, we do look at the waiting times. Waiting times are well prescribed in the National Building Code. The occupancy loads, how much should be a peak percentage of handling capacity. It is also defined in the codes. And we definitely being a VT consultant or a MEP consultant or a stakeholder in the project, we definitely look at whether the lift cores are enough, whether the speeds are enough to maintain, and people, the end client, in absence of a VT consultant, may just correlate the speed to the efficiency of the lifts, whereas it may not always be true. It has to be a combination, and sometimes the speed may not help you much because you may not require it. So another thing is that people feel that keeping a VT consultant could be a cost, but then like Tak said, me and Tak go back 1994 when we were working together in Otis. So during the course of our profession, we have seen that, like he gave an example that he converted 24 double-deck elevators to 24 single-deck. Achha. So you had recommended double.
Why was 24 double-deck? The client converted it to 24 single-deck and a lower speed.
Okay. So in my example, we are doing the tallest of the Calcutta, and we had 16 double-deck elevators which were recommended by the OEM, some OEM, and also the architects. And then we came in, and when we did the analysis, we could actually tell the client that you don't require double-deck elevators in this building. It will not help you much. And finally, this whole process went for about 6 months, because this was a counter opinion, a consultant reducing the requirements. And finally, it was established that this case was not fit for this. And maybe, out of the client got very excited that we'll have the first of the double deck in. I don't know whether we have a running double deck today, still in India or not. Under installation, we don't have running. And when we compare the top 100 buildings of the world, none of them are in India. So our threshold still remains around 300. 300, we have just a couple of buildings which aspire to cross 300, maybe one or two in Mumbai. But I think the threshold largely towards 200 now, and I see this growing. We are doing many projects which are 200 plus now. So I think this, like you said, 10 years from now, we are lucky that we have not crossed that threshold, and we are all set to cross that threshold now. The vertical buildings are yet to grow from 200 to 300 level, and we are well educated, and we have the availability of technologies. We have the softwares, we have the consultants, we have the OEMs. I think the only point which probably could be required further is the OEMs manufacturing more than 3 MPS in this country. So I think it is very important to establish the right number of.
I want to give the architects and developers a rest, because I always get a little bit confused.
Just at one point to this, by the way you said, the 24 double deckers were converted to 24 single. So normally all the developers, or for that matter builders or anybody in India, how they work is, what is the bare minimum which is required for me to, complete this building. Whereas they have to change the mindset to what else can we do to better the building in terms of every element, not just the elevators for that matter. In our building, and we are doing a 200 plus, 200 meters plus building in Delhi right now. And we've already, the structure is up right now, and we already have, elevators which are installed inside the building right now, although the building is yet to get completed. But we always think as a developer as to what better can we do in terms of steel, in terms of elevators, in terms of every other element. Whereas the first element which comes in is, what is the bare minimum that I need to do so that I can pass through this? That's it. That's the mindset. You change the mindset and you change the game.
Okay.
Just I want to add two points on this.
Quick one. Yep.
Yeah, quick one.
Quickly, please.
Especially on this waiting time and handling capacity. Maybe 4, 5, 6 years back, I have seen that mostly developers were not asking these points. But now when high-rise is coming with a high density, and they are experiencing it that their users are having a higher waiting time, and the traffic handling capacity is not up to the mark. So they are asking at the time of inception of project only, can we do some analysis, maybe traffic analysis, so that we can design elevator with consideration of our traffic handling capacity. Maybe 8% of population building will be vacated in 5 minutes, or waiting time maybe 40 seconds or 30 seconds. Like that, all discussion has been started. So it is really becoming a very, very important point when they are designing elevator, especially for high-rise buildings. And these two topics are really important because they have a bad experience after having an under elevator for their high-rise project. Okay. So it's coming up, and I think VT solution is definitely going to give a good support to our developers and builders. Thank you.
And we've been talking about our current buildings, but you saw from our presentations that things are moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour with AI and technology. And so I'm going to give you the developer and the architects a rest. Suppliers and VT consultants. Now, to the suppliers, are the VT consultants keeping up with the technology? Because what I see from presentations, that there is going to be no waiting time, right? It's not even a conversation. And it's about application of the technology, and that all converts to the number of lifts and number of shafts. So are the VT consultants and the design consultants and the developers, are they keeping up with the pace that the VT suppliers are developing? And so from the suppliers, simple answer, are they keeping up with the technology? And is a communication between the VT consultants, architects, as the message is getting across, the technology converting to design parameters. Yep.
Would you like to answer question? Yeah. Technology, when we talk about today's building scenario, the destination control systems or your remote monitoring systems, these are, need-based solutions we are offering. And when the developers, when they are comparing your technical and commercial offers, of course, they ask for this kind of technologies, whether it is a part of solution or it is a part of our offerings or not. So we have to keep pace with the most of the companies, those who are offering and developing a new technologies. So I think almost all OEMs, they try to pitch in wherein they can get a edge over the technological offerings what they are giving to the customers.
Okay. Can anyone else comment? And then Tech, I'm going to give you an
I would like to just add something here. Actually, in case of technology also we need to be very careful. Suppose in case of residential building, sometime developer thinks, okay, why if I install the DSC, what will be the result? So we have to be very, very careful, and we have to be wise enough to propose the right technology for the right building. Otherwise, result will not be that much good. We need to understand. And when we are designing any building, or VT consultant is designing any building or proposing any lift quantity, speed, capacity, also very important is lobby area. If you don't plan the lobby properly, then your result and your user experience would be affected very badly. There is many building is suffering like only the poor lobby design.
Yeah. But the AI technology can't be expensive, I would have thought. Or is it? I'm asking the question. Is it expensive? it might be expensive now, but in another 1 or 2 years' time, I'm sure it's going to dramatically reduce, just like EVs.
So, like you said, technology is like a medicine, not one medicine for everyone. While my experience is that when it comes to vertical transportation, our clients either go for a underkill or overkill. Either they'll be too in their enthusiasm to make the best building, they'll go out high speed elevators, they'll say whatever is the best, give me that. We have to sit down with the client and understand what is the utility of the building, what is occupancy, what is the mix of occupancy. Many number of times we, like Zohaib is here, we were we're doing a project together, and we had a good debate. I said, no, DSC is not the right technology for you. And we had a lot of debate on this. And though the management, feels that, adopting to the best technologies, the most expensive technologies could be the best. Ultimately, you have to understand what is my building's requirement. What is a mix of tenants? What is a mix of, offices we have? So depending on that, technologies are available. You have to choose between technologies, whether it is a speed or the control mechanism. So I think a lot more learning has to be. So I think seminars like what CVU is doing now, we have to bring the clients, we have to make them understand the technologies. OEMs have a lot of responsible role to play, not selling what they have, but telling what they have. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of difference between this. That's my point.
Okay, I'm going to get Tech's opinion. Tech, I'm going to ask a direct question. We saw all the AI that's coming in. Are you fully versed with it as a BT consultant in terms of?
Yeah, I am versed with it, and I keep saying that the issue that I see is we are moving into AI, and I keep saying this often, without the required RI. The real intelligence is missing in everything that's being done. And I say this with a lot of caution to the elevator companies. We did AI, we did everything, lots of stuff that is done. There is no substitute, I repeat this, for the number, capacity, and speed of the elevators. AI or your DCS or whatever it is that you're talking about can just improve something that's good. If the system is bad and you put in DCS, it's going to get worse. There's no two ways about it. Unfortunately, we from the elevator industry come and try to create this magic and say that, oh, you got a problem, let's put in DCS or let's do AI and stuff like this. It's not going to work. You look at a simple maths behind it and you know that it will not work. So AI is needed. When I say this, they say, no, you're old school. Yeah, I am old school, but I believe AI is important, but not without the required RI that is to be backing it up. You had asked a question which I missed, the time required for the analysis. It's not the time required for the analysis which goes into it. It is for the developer or the architect or the constituents to give the right input that is required. Half the time, in terms of the population, in terms of the height of the building. I've been asked to design a building, it could be 40 floors, that could be 80 floors. Yeah, population varies from 5,000 to 15,000, 20,000. How do you design like that? Yeah. Which is where the issue is. Once the input is totally in.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's not just an Indian problem, it's a global problem.
So, but there is something, I want to add. In the change of this flexibility and adaptability and changing, financial scenarios and the market scenarios, things can change. Like, we are discussing that a project probably is designed some 5 years back, but now the client thinks that the hotel need to be changed to offices. What to do? That's a question to you. Somewhere in between, somewhere.
Could I just answer that?
It does happen, by the way.
It does happen.
It does happen.
I know we work with projects like that. It's like this, if you don't mind. I started making good biryani, and in between I decided to convert that biryani into a cake. How is that going to work?
No, but
you make a rice cake then. I'm just kidding. That's why the restaurant closed, by the way. So we're not going there.
It's not a 5-minute question. Answer. I agree with you. It involves design.
It is. The market scenarios change. You know that the duplexes or the big apartments comes into the smaller ones, and the then what to do? How we can?
An apartment to an apartment is okay.
Okay.
An apartment into a commercial building is a disaster, and I have
Okay,
buildings
that
like
does not happen. That does not happen. It's not so easy.
It's happened. I know.
Okay, it's not so easy in India right now. But you know what Uday just mentioned about the elevator and the lobby design. You should actually go to a hospital in Gurgaon right now, one of the biggest hospitals. I won't name it again. But when you go out there and you see the elevator scenario out there, you'll understand. Okay, most of us who've been to the hospital would understand if they have to go to the 4th floor, it's a task in itself to go to the 4th floor because इतना लंबा लाइन है ना कि पूछिए मत. And
sorry, for interrupting. You know what the problem is? Many of these hospital designs and hotel designs come from abroad, where they have a pattern which is different. Like for example, a hospital abroad.
अभी आप क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं कि who's the culprit right now?
So what happens? what happens is, you bring in a patient abroad, you leave him there and over. Here, an outpatient who comes for a medical test comes with 3-4 people, and the medical test is on the 8th floor. You find all these people going in. Nobody thinks about it. A hotel building, and I keep saying this often, we love our masala chai, and it does not work in a hotel room. We want it from the kitchen. We don't have services. Our bellboy, how many people came into the bag and had the bellboy coming up to you? Does that happen abroad? You go with your 5-ton bag, you will have to carry it on your own. So the problem is we pick something from there, and I think somebody mentioned it, and we try to use it here. It doesn't work that way. At hospitals, we have done hospitals and we walk away because it works in Manhattan, so it works.
All right, thank you, Tak. There is a reason why I included Tak in because I knew that will create a little bit of a passionate debate. Okay, this is a tricky question because and
I want to add one point, extension of the point.
Okay.
I think Tak very rightly said designing of elevator, especially in terms of capacity, speed, is very, very important. And at lobby, position of elevator, orientation of elevator is also important because I have a experience of not one building, many buildings where elevators were installed opposite to each other. And later all developers requested, okay, I want to enhance my traffic handling capacity. So can you put this elevator in a duplex operation? We connected in a duplex operation. Passenger was waiting elevator A. Meanwhile, elevator B, which was the backside, came and attended the callback. Then complaints started coming that I'm resting my call, but elevator is not attending. Then we have examined, then we have put another thing, that's the car chime. So I think it's a very, very important, it's a fundamental requirement when we design a building. We design right capacity, right speed, orientation of elevators, and their integration method as well. Whether we want a triplex operation, 4-car group operation, how to use service elevator, all these factors are very important. Technology definitely going to support later on. Thank you.
Okay. All right, a tricky question, and I'm sure it's quite common. If the occupants are unhappy with the lift performance after completion, maybe a few years later, knowing that the mums and dads, they're all new to the game, but who owns the problem at the moment? And I'm not being controversial here. I want to know as well, who owns the problem when the elevators don't? There's a problem.
So
I'm sure it depends
who
on
owns the problem when you said.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happens typically. The architect's out of the game, obviously. So I'm gonna say that he's out of the game right now. Okay. The elevator guy, they're also out of the game. They have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
If the developer owns the building, then of course they own the problem. Okay.
But
Most of the times they would have sold it out.
Sell the building because
yeah.
the developers sold the.
You can probably do a strata sale, or you can do a floor sale, or you can sell the entire building as such.
Yeah.
And if you've not sold the building, then the problem is yours. If you've sold the building,
sold the building.
Okay, then it comes to the facility management
all
people.
The mums and dads.
Only the facility management people, and that's where the CBREs and the JLLs and the Knight Franks come in. So they actually are the problem solvers in that case. Nobody else will come to your rescue. So if you're sitting in a building which is owned by the developer themselves, then you can possibly approach them, because they are not bothered about it right now. They're getting the rentals from you. If you leave the building, it does not make a difference to me. The other one comes in, and he'll possibly give more rent than you because you're sitting from a long time. So maybe you have a relationship with them, and all those things happen. But if I've sold the building, then it comes to CBRE or Knight Frank or JLL to maintain the building, and they are the ones who are the custodians.
But is there a guarantee for performance after the building is
None.
sold?
Where? What?
So the
I'm sorry, I'm being as open as possible.
No, but I'm aiming this at a developer.
You know what? So you need to, first of all, so 2017 RERA came to India. Okay, that's the first time the consumers got a guarantee about something. Okay, that's when the first guarantee came in. Before that, there was no guarantee. So if I was a developer, I've been a developer since 2010, and the way we used to define was very simple. Okay, we'll give you the building in 3 years. This is 2010. 2011, you come to me, we'll give you the building in 3 years. 2012, you come to me, we'll give you the building in 3 years. 2013, you come to me, we'll give you the building in 3 years. Okay, my criteria is same, 3 years. But there was no guarantee till 2017. 2017, the first time you got some guarantees. They're very, very nascent in this stage.
So, for this performance point of view, developer may sell complete building, and maybe after 3 years or 4 years, maybe he will take exit. But as an elevator company and users, it's like a marriage. We cannot run away. We have to face problem day to day, and especially north, because I have completed my career in north more than 35 years. Here, power problem is very, very frequent. Maybe in a daytime, during summer, it may fail 2 times, 3 times. It's a transit. When elevator stops, maybe because of any reason, whether power failure or some problem with the controller or PCB, user always start blaming elevator company. Let's say faulty elevator installed, you people are responsible, you are accountable. So, and we understand their pain, because it's a high-rise building. People have to travel, maybe office, children has to go to school, or there are a number of activities are going on continuously building, starting from early morning till late evenings, and similarly for office. So we all are working to improve the reliability of elevator, and today, reliability of elevator is one basic discussion happening even during installation of time, and users are asking at the time of taking over a building also. So it's a very important, and all elevator companies are definitely working to make elevator more reliable by giving them different ideas and solutions like UPS online and other things also, where power failure is higher. That's how it's going on.
Okay.
But
so,
problems are there.
Anil, I would like to answer this question that, if the user experience is not good, then the one person who has to take the blame is the developer. Is the developer. Because you have conceived the building, you are responsible for hiring the right people who get together as a team. There are two more important aspects that I think we have not covered in this till now. One is the security of occupants in the building, how elevators are related to it, how people can get on any floor, going if it is a free flow, if anybody can access the higher floors from the parking floors without getting scrutinized. Second is, how do you address the flow of people? Nowadays we have in NCR also, we have buildings which have got podium parkings, not 1, not 2, but we are doing projects which have got 10 podium parkings in addition to 3 basement parkings. And then you've got a 40-floor building above it. So when you're designing, do you have shuttle elevators? Have you zoned your elevators? Or it is one elevator which may be serving all floors, even if it is a DCS. Even if it is a DCS, is it enough? Have you zoned? Have you done your justice to the parking elevators?
Yeah.
So shuttle.
But doesn't that come back to the first question about VT involvement during concept and schematic stage?
So VT consultant should be one of the first consultants who's on board, not later on, where he goes and fights with the architects. I mean, Amit and me, we can be working on the same project, but I don't know whether, Amit, you remember, we are doing a hotel which is a mixed use, and the banquet level It actually, you know, on one side NBC tells you can't go higher than this, and then on the other side the hotel operator wants to give experience to the guests on the top floor, and then the guests who are mixing in between.
So, but
yes, that was also an afterthought. Yes.
But we keep going to the architect, but it's not the architect's responsibility, I would have thought, to hire all the engineering consultants. It still comes down to the owner and the developer, because the architect is stuck with their contract. Maybe the architects are not making the owner aware of the importance of all the other consultants, and I think that's a challenge in India, especially for taller buildings. But is that the problem? That maybe you can answer that.
You know what happens typically, and this is a fact which is there, that as a developer, these are all afterthoughts which come in, you know. And once the building is up, that's when we start fighting about the overhead heights, and sometimes we even fight about the pit depths, by the way. You know, it's surprising, and it does happen. In every building it does happen, because the architect would say, okay, we've kept a pit depth of 2.4 meters, and then, you know, a friend of mine comes in and says, I need at least 2.7. I can't do anything before, you know, less than 2.7. I'm like, we do only have a 2.4. Koi baat nahi, we'll come up with a solution. We do a ramp in the basement. So you come up with afterthoughts. So that's what, you know, all of us do. But as developers, yes, you know, an awareness which is definitely required, for that matter, to keep a VT consultant on day one. You know, just when you buy the land, that's when you need the VT consultant. It is definitely required. But like I said, there are the number of VT consultants and learned VT consultants. Sorry for my, you know, disrespect for anybody. There are very few, and you have limited time. Okay, it's not like you have unlimited time. You're not producing clones, you know, or anything of that sort. So there are very few people who can actually suggest the best product for you or the best solution for you. And one more thing which happens, you know, all the salespeople which come to us, all of them, including all the companies, okay, their only criteria is they're not advisors to you. They're actually salespeople. Okay, which is what is required. And advice is required in day one.
100%.
You're designing a building, so why don't you let me in and I will advise you as to how many elevators are required, what is the speed which is required, what is the shaft which is required. Let's not, you know, cut this, rather do something else about the other things in the building. So that advice is missing. You know, none of the salespeople come and advise. They just come and, sir, aap spec bhej do, I'll send the quotation to you. That's what happens.
I'll add into this a little. You know, what happens is, since RERA came in, so I'm not sure that whether, you know, that sale and marketing stuff has improved or it is worsened, because now the main motive is to get the RERA within next 6 months. So you have to get the sanctions in next 4 months. Probably you have to do all the coordination, the concept, and, you know, okay, MEP and structures, yes, they are the, you know, the life. But VT, no one talks about. We try our best to educate them, but they say RERA. You know, we have to get the RERA in next 6 months. I have to start my sale. Otherwise, this project will be doomed. So that is also probably a reason why, you know, yes, you are right that there are not many BT consultants on board which are, you know, very readily available as compared to structural engineers, good structural engineers and MEP guys. But yes, this is something which we have to discuss. Probably we need to have a right consultant on boards, you know, maybe some kind of a directory where we can find some good guys in every part of India, and we can take their services from day 2 or day 3, probably, you know, once the basic concept is done. That's what my plan.
I just realized time is moving quickly. Hang on, please. Time is moving quickly. So just looking ahead, I want to ask one question, and then only 1 minute max from everyone. Okay. That if we meet again in 10 years' time, I might not be around, but say in 10 years' time, what will be the single biggest change in vertical transportation in India? Just one thing. Think of one thing. I'll start right from that end. What do you think will be the single biggest change in vertical
Anil, change in terms of technology, of course, it will happen. The new technologies will get introduced, used, installed everywhere. The biggest disruptive thing which I find in nowadays, I mean, buildings which were designed, say, like 10 years back, most of the residential building, whenever you are entering,
talking about 10 years time future.
no, exactly. I don't know, because today the buildings which were designed 10 years back, when you enter into any residential building, you are always accompanied with your elevator ID is always accompanied with a Zepto or Zomato, Amazon guy, vegetable guy, whatever. So how you going to plan these particular floating population is that is something which is really critical, because the existing building, I mean, if so many people, those who are entering as a domestic staff or delivery boys, that is something which is increasing the overall load on the elevator system. So 10 years down the line, I feel like we should have an accuracy of measuring this kind of changes, which we were not expecting 5-10 years back. But this is something which is, I feel that every company should think about this floating population, specifically in country like India.
Okay, thank you.
I think we always blamed for elevator people or VT consultant. Building is failure due to the poor numbers of lifts, or speed is less, or quantity is less. But always we should not be blamed. I think after 10 years, any building would be designed particular that uses that should be fixed. You can see there is a many building within a 1 years of time, the uses of the building get changed. Suppose suddenly canteen comes in the top floor, then every employees in the daytime they have to travel to the top, then this top floor would be too much traffic jam. This is the situation. So building should be designed purposefully in pre-planning way, then it would be more successful. That is my thought.
Okay, thank you. Next.
So I would say in next 10 years, the future of vertical transportation is glorious. I see that if you take the list of 100 tallest buildings, most of them will be in China, the maximum number. So we can relate to that in terms of population, in terms of large area available, still they're going high. In terms of quality, yes. In terms of new technologies, we will be now in the best position to adopt to the new technologies which are available today, unlike our other countries who grew far before us. So I see a lot of business, a lot of professionalism coming in, a lot of opportunity, and maybe a lot of VT consultants coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 10 years from now, by the way we are going right now, I don't think a lot would change. That's what I would say. Okay, rather I would say nothing would change. I've been seeing this from the last 10 years, and I still say that nothing would change unless you scare the developers. And this room full of people who are elevator people are a room full of developers who are sitting out here, and you actually scare them with the worst case scenarios that you've seen in your lifetime. And that's when things would possibly start changing. Otherwise, it still remains the same.
I'm surprised, but yeah.
From 10 years now, I think India is going to hold position #1 in terms of elevator demand in world. That's my expectations. And as a developer or BT consultant and elevator company, we all have to gear up to meet those challenges. That's definitely going to come in terms of reliability and meeting the customer's demand and market demand. And high rise definitely is going next stage for India. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think I also feel nothing much gonna change in next 10 years. But I do feel that there can be, some arrangements, some systems which probably we will have some smaller elevators for these deliveries, or some dumbwaiter kind of a thing which kind of take care load from the main service elevators. Same in the lift, we have a lot of AI coming into it. Maybe tomorrow we'll have duplex elevators which you can probably go inside only, and you can go on 2 levels. So there are a lot of things which are proposed, but yes, most of the things will remain the way they are going.
I'm surprised actually. I think that India in next 10 years, like you say, it's going to be the biggest market for elevators. And then we got all our magnificent suppliers with that technology, and in 10 years is a long time. For technology, and I think India's got an opportunity to leapfrog some of the Western countries because you've got a huge market for new buildings, and I think that's why you got all the leading VT people setting their base up in India, because they're going to apply their technology, and there's going to be a huge opportunity. And I think where the challenge is going to be is the design process of getting everyone on board. It's a collective thing, and I think that's been the bigger challenge in India. So I would like to be a bit more positive. Tak, do you want to have a comment?
On the positive side, whatever technology is available anywhere will be available in India. In terms of change, Kunal, I'll have to agree with both of you. The only way it can change is if inadequacy is going to cost the developer and the architect and the consultant adequately. Right now, it doesn't cost them anything because adequacy is not an approval document unless a tenant walks out of the building and rental affects. The developer doesn't care. If he's going to sell the building, they don't care. We talked about who is to blame. Let me tell you what actually happens. I mean, this is from my own personal experience. The architect's out of the picture. The management decisions that were made by the developer, the manager, he's God knows where. The person who sold the job, God knows where he is. The person who installed the elevator, like Mr. H.N. Pandey, he's out of the picture. And the poor service mechanic, he's going to get clobbered every day. So the only way it can change is if regulation, now RERA for instance, it does not talk about elevator adequacy. You look at any of the approvals, BMC, I mean you look at any of the municipal corporation approvals, it does not talk about elevator adequacy. And I've been asking all the high-rise committees and all, when are you going to handle this? The only time that I've gone and handled a high-rise committee meeting is because they didn't know what a double deck was. The only time, I've done a number of very tall buildings, and they do, I think in Bombay, it's I think over 100 meters, that is the high-rise committee or something like that.
Yeah, 200.
I've done a number of buildings, yet only once. And that too was just to figure out what double decks were.
Okay.
And I actually asked them, I said, what? So I'm positive that the owners, just like right now, for instance, they will ask what your toilet fittings are. They will talk about your bathroom fittings, what's there in the kitchen. Till they start asking about elevator adequacy, nothing is going to change.
Okay. All right, I think time is up. Since you're going to be asking a question, let one person, I'm sorry, but we are out of time. And surely during the breaks and after the seminar, we can talk to all the gentlemen here.
Actually, the main problem is...
a quick question, okay?
Yes, developers are not being educated. Yes, this is a problem. I've been fighting very hard in my 3 projects to engage a VT consultant. In a 6 million square foot development, I engaged TAC for a project.
Okay.
And they didn't know, and they were America return developers, and they didn't know that there is a vertical consultancy available in
All right. Okay, well, obviously, if you've got children that are going to university, tell them to be VT consultants. There's a good future. Okay, well, thank you very much, panelists. I think it was a productive meeting, and we can have a lot more controversial discussions on the other room after the event over a drink or two. Thank you very much for your valuable input.
think we need to give a round of applause to Anil. I think he's more an elevator person than the elevator business, and he has been a champion for us. So thank you very much. As always, the best person to moderate an elevator discussion. Thank you very much. I think we could have a group together. We need you. Everything starts and ends with you. Thank you. So our next panel discussion was not part of this event, but something that we had to bring in because of some changes and developments that have happened in the country. Those of you who would be aware, India does not have a national building code anymore. We have shifted it into a national building and construction standards, national building and construction standards. So there's no code as such. I know there are many in the audience who are not aware of this shift, and we felt that it was probably something that requires to be discussed, and sort of that's the reason why we introduced this session. So I'm going to invite Rajneesh Agarwal. I'm not going to introduce him again. He's already been introduced, and you're not going to get one more plaque because it's given to you already. I'm going to invite him over so that he can sort of take it forward, and let's just sort of see it. And he's one gentleman who abandoned the elevator industry. So please, during your break time, just to let him know that he made a big mistake.
Thank you, Tak. This topic, which is the relevance of NBCS, is a very important topic because all the projects which we are doing across the country, every developer, every consultant is having this question which we all have. So I'll quickly invite all the esteemed panelists here. Mr. Arun Kumar S., Director, Civil Engineering, BIS, and the Head of National Building Code Committee. Thank you so much, Arun sir. This is he's a very important man on the panel today because he's the man behind the NBC today. We also had Mr. S.K. Deri, who had accepted our invitation. He's the convener of Part 4 or Part F, but unfortunately his wife is not well, so he could not make it today. So he just called in and dropped out. Mr. Sandeep Sehgal, Senior Vice President Projects from Prestige Group. I will not go into the long introductions, but Mr. Sehgal has been there in the real estate industry for a very long time. He has various educational qualifications in addition to his 40 years experience in the industry. I have Mr. Nitin Kadam. Nitin is here. Yeah, Nitin, hi. Nitin is from Schindler. He has been on various jobs, I think 18 years in Schindler in all. 30 years. Sorry, I remember the second stint, which was in the 18 years. I forgot to add the earlier 12. So again, about 40 years of experience in the elevator industry in managing everything from cost to technology to safety and security, everything. So another very important guy on the panel. I have Mr. Gautam Bhasin here. Yeah, Gautam. So Gautam represents the CVU, and thank you, Gautam, for holding this kind of a conference in Delhi. And we may not have so many high-rise buildings as Mumbai, but Uh, with Mumbai, I mean, taking the total of NCR together, I think we'll see you a lot more often here in the coming times. Then we have Mr. Sanjay Vashne. Mr. Vashne, thank you. Mr. Vashne is heading the design from Signature Group, one of the leading developers of NCR. Thank you, Vashne Saab, to come here. And we have Nikita Mehta, one of the young architects who's doing wonders, right from Geo World Convention and the kind of experience she has today. Thank you, Nikita, for coming and adding to the panel an architectural aspect to this. So the So the topic we have today is the relevance of NBCS. So I would like to, before I ask Mr. Arun Kumar, who's the person who's the helm of affairs, I would like to start with the developers. Vashne Saab and Sandeep ji, both of you. What is the relevance of NBCS for you? NBC or NBCS, whatever name you call it. So I'll ask both of you.
Now we call it NBCS. Earlier the code and this now standards basically. So earlier the code means issued by the BIS is some of the mandatory nature. But I think the NBCS we have National Building Construction Standards. It's some directive booklet for the construction industry, and it's if there's some local authorities and some local municipal corporation, some state governments use as bylaws, then it can be mandatory, but it's a directive in that nature. I think it's a very much required documents nationwide because every state you find some different bylaws, fire safety net, some different conditions are there, so they have a different life. So something has to be taken conclusive. I think the NBCS is the very much required in the country. With the time, with the passage of time from now in the last 20, 30 years, a lot of construction practices has been changed, building materials has been changed, a lot of new aspects of the construction has been added. So that code with 2016 to 2026, number of new things has been added. So I think it's a very good document to work as a construction industries persons to adopt it. Thank you very much.
I'll just build upon what Sanjay sir has mentioned. So I'll give it to a philosophical touch because the technical part has already been told. We drive the car on a road or a highway, and then you have got a traffic lights and a sign is which regulates the traffic, and that's how you reach to your safe to your destination. So that's how I see NBCS for that matter, because what we were just listening from the esteemed panel on the performance-based building design, particularly to the vertical. So similarly now we are working on a lot many of a complex buildings. Earlier we used to work on a 15-story building, particularly I'm talking about North. 15-story was qualified as a tall building once upon a time. And then we switched to 25, then we switched to 35, and now we are talking of 60, 70-story building in North itself. So by that, once we work on those tall buildings, there are lot many complexities which needs to be taken care. Eventually, taking off my vertical transportation, then getting into the what we put it now across in our development that whatever we design, the design should be sustainable, and from the constructability point of view and the maintainability point of view, and that wherein NBCS is playing a very vital role because it gives your boundary limit, that this is your boundary limit, you need to work it around. And yes, you can add anything, whatever you want to add in a better way. But this is the big facilitator for a developer to work out a guideline. And as Vashne sir has mentioned this, that having in a state within a different bylaws, national level within different bylaws, and from Haryana it is different, for UP it is different, for Bangalore it is different.
since we represent Pan India, so Maharashtra is altogether different. So there has to be a guideline, and once we go forward, and there has to be parity also in between the bylaws, state bylaws, and the NBCC, and that's how it will be more fruitful and more balanced.
So I think very aptly mentioned the red light, so the good people stop at the red light and the bad people jump the red light. So I think now I'll come to Mr. Arun Kumar. If somebody jumps this red light, why don't we have a cop waiting for you? Why don't we have a penalty for now? NBC has always been a recommendatory document. It has never got the status of a code. And it was called a code, which now it has been changed to a building standard. So I personally, I'll put an allegation directly on BIS that on one side, BIS is making codes which are mandatory to be followed. So they are the rules. And on the other side, you're writing a document which is like the Gita, which is giving you all the gyan, but it is up to you, up to every state, whether you follow that gyan of Gita or not, or you don't follow the Gita. So, sir, what are you selling, a Gita or a code?
Thank you, Mr. Rajneesh. Before I open out, how many of the audience are from state government departments or authorities? Are there any? No, no one it seems. Okay, let me add to what my co-speakers just mentioned. From the Bureau of Indian Standards, we make two types of publications. One is Indian Standard and another is special publication. NBC, right from its 1970 version, has been a special publication. It is numbered as SP7. And even today, on the 30th of April, when the NBC was revised, it has been rechristened as NBCS. But the number still remains the same, SP7 2026. And right from day one, from the Bureau of Indian Standards, because of the BIS Act, every publication, be it Indian Standard or SP, they are voluntary in nature. Any publication will become mandatory if it is referred to in any of the contractual documents or in a central government mandate or in a quality control order or in a state government bylaws. In the instant case, it is the NBCS, which if referred in a building bylaw, it gets implemented. And that is a scenario, be it Europe or USA or Australia or any other country. Every country follows the same thing. So only the name has been changed. Nothing else has changed much. That's what I would like to say as of now.
So next, Nikita, you are involved in developing, I think, the tallest residential in NCR, a 50-storied. So while you were designing this as an architect, would you agree with a lot of your colleagues that NBC is highly regulatory? It is a very harsh document which demands a lot of setback rules, height restrictions, and other things which restrict your freedom of design. I'm putting a direct question to you.
Yes. So
or do you think NBC guided you towards designing a good building?
First, I'd like to give you a background. So I worked in Bombay for 13 years. And now I'm here for last 4 years. So firstly, NBC as a national building code, you would expect it to have similar rules. Now, here in NCR itself, I get a balcony which is free of FAR in Noida for 1.5 meter. I get that for Delhi as 2 meter. I get that for Gurgaon as 1.8 meter. And Bombay has taken away from everything because we have removed free of FAR balconies altogether. And that is why in all the new constructions in Bombay, you will not see any balcony even in the residential buildings. So first of all, the thing is that whatever, whether it is stringent, it's mild, it's average, can we first have a uniform building code that we as architects can follow in all the states?
Well,
Arun sir, are we done? Or you have something more? I would like to add here very much. That was the very motto that in the year 1950, the Government of India's Planning Commission exactly mentioned the same thing. every state then after independence is following a different set of rules for construction. The planning commission had then mentioned that we need to have a single building code and a single common regulation. BIS did both of this. Again, it has to be adopted. Now the baby is there. It has been given to all the 36 states and UTs. They as a parent are supposed to adopt it. Now some state has adopted with 1.5 meter or 1.8 or 2 meter. By the way, of course there are a few structural engineers here very much. Those are dangerous balconies of 2 meters in length, particularly in the NCR. One needs to design it structurally properly. Anyway, now as a standards body, we have established both SP7 as a National Building Construction Standards and SP73 as a standardized building regulatory document is also available. A copy of that has also been sent to all the states. We requested them to place it in their local assembly and adopt it. A few states showed interest. By then NBC has been revised. So our job is, after I go back from here, I'll be revising the SP73 again, and then we'll be submitting back by early next year. So it is again you as a professional, as a developer, to think and nudge your local authority to adopt NBC or refer NBC in their building regulatory documents. Only if that is done, as a solution provider, you will not be worried. Else, you have to read 10 different documents for 10 states. Rather, read only NBC, which is applicable to all the 36 states.
So, but this is exactly what I'm saying, that now, after 10 years when this change happened, it could have been a national building code in its true sense. When all of this could have been put together, you could have grouped tier 1, you could have grouped all the high rises in one category, you could have grouped tier 2 cities in one category. Instead, now it has become even more random because it is left to everyone's own interpretation. So if Delhi wants to interpret, or the person, and again, as with due respect to all the government authorities, how many of them are really thinking in a long-term vision? Bombay has 70, 80 floor buildings since last 15, 20 years. But now, even now when I'm trying to design a 50 floor building, it has so many rules and regulations that this is unsafe, that is unsafe. So the same parameters were not unsafe when I was doing them in Bombay. But the same parameters here in Delhi have become unsafe because of the local authorities' interpretation of NBC. So one of the key things I think is the implementation. In terms of codes, we have one of the most robust system of codes. And while I was designing Geo World Center, we did refer IB. I did refer NFPA for designing everything because it had to be compliant to international standards, also in accordance with Indian standards. But even after doing all of that, end of the day, we don't have anything that we can follow in the country which is similar for all the different states. And now it has become even loose because nobody is going to, you don't have a mandate. So it's up to a developer to choose, up to a municipality to choose, and how we going to implement this?
What? Just adding to what Nikita said, this is a real problem which I was to touch upon later, but in the runoff I'm just building it up. In addition to this, the fire norms. Isn't a fire now itself, because state, they are not admitting 26. We are exploring projects in Haryana. We're also trying to explore that the kind of the possibilities, because state bylaws, they have got everything. Now, NBCA 26 in fire chapter has identified a multi-floor pumping system, right? And then even our, sorry Rajnish, I'm pointing out to you also, the learned experts, they have their own interpretation. One, the consultant is of the view, no, we can continue with the multi-stage pumping as it had been. But the other one is said that then it would be a violation. So as a developer, as a business owner, we are in a fix what to do. Then we go back to the fire authority, who they eventually has to approve the fire drawings and everything. They said we are not still clear, because we have not got a notification from the state government which we need to follow. If you want to come, please come up with the previous version of NBC and we will follow that. But we as a responsible developer, we want to be compliant and also to be accurate once it comes, because definitely it is going to come. There will be some time, but definitely it is going to become when it will be a uniform building code across. So that is the issue where the parity has to be there.
So I think before we go further, I'd like to comment on this. Maybe as a moderator, I should not be, but then as I said, it is like Gita. How you read it, आप जिस भाव से पढ़ेंगे, उस भाव से भावार्थ मिलेगा आपको. Now, NBC has always been a advisory document. It has been a, now even in the new NBC, if you see, when they say multi-pumping system, the first 3 or 4 letters are very important. It says, as an alternative to the bottom fed, you can have a top discharge system. So you can have multiple, tanks. So which is the answer? You can still go in the earlier one. I think the major difference now is that now it has actually become an advisory document. Earlier it was called a code. You were expecting the tiger to have teeth. Now it is not called a tiger. So now it can be a friend in designing you. And now you can actually go and see that all the shall have been replaced with should. That is the major difference. So
maybe I'll add to this. When you talk about NBC, you spoke about being this code being restrictive. 20 years before, when this was built up, I should appreciate all the people who worked on NBC 2005. Later on, there was 2016 version, and now we have NBCS 2026. The perspective that comes in of being restrictive is because I think maximum developers want to monetize to the maximum extent on the floor space index, the FSI. And that is creating the mindset of, being restrictive. And like what Mr. Arun Kumar was also mentioning, earlier we had this as a code document. It has done a job of being, the backbone for the building industry, laying down all the requirements of the building, which was initially scattered. There was nothing before 2005, and it has done a fantastic job. With this new change that is happening, and you mentioned about, shall becoming should, this is now left to the state, and this is where the problems are going to start.
So your point of view is that, this will add to the chaos now.
Absolutely.
So, but Mr. Arun Kumar,
No. Don't get into any chaos now. Maybe already we are in chaos. And we in the sense, not BIS. Of course, as a user, everybody is in a chaos. Okay. How many of you are aware of the new department which was set up in January 2025, which is supposed to help in doing very good business? Of course. So those were also one of the people who gave inputs to us. And their background idea has come from the states in the country. So in a way, in the fire chapter, the word shall has to be totally eliminated, and the word should has been explicitly put based on the feedback which has come from the state government departments through the deregulation cell number 1. Yet the answer is also with the state government. As and when the state fire authorities would adopt it, they will make a simple one-liner telling that all should will be treated as mandatory for the state of Tamil Nadu or Haryana or West Bengal. That is one. And the next one is part 3. Mr. Rajini, you mentioned about the open spaces. Today, the NBCS does not talk about such open spaces because we want that to be driven by the respective local county or that particular city or that particular taluk. Some taluks will have huge amount of barren land for building construction. Some do not have. So we have altogether removed it. But in the introduction chapter in part A have very clearly mentioned it is not that it has to be 0 anymore. You as a state authority should specify what is the value. For safe buildings, you need to have building separation distance so that fire will not spread horizontally as well as vertically. For the vertical fire leaping, part F of NBC is already giving you a lot of answers. And second one, you already clarified that bottom fed pumping is still there. The gravity is an alternate only. And this clause number 5 of part F is already addressing this very point which you mentioned, Mr. Rajneesh.
So Gautam, coming to you, you are, we'd like you to jump into the discussion. how do you see as a CVU, Chairman? NBC always had restrictions on height, which this NBC document does not talk of. So now it does not say the hospitals will not be more than 45 meters high. Does not say that the education building cannot be more than 24 meters high. It does say that till 24 meters, you don't have to follow all the fire norms for all the categories. For some categories, yes, you have to. So do you see this has been a restriction to the tall buildings, which were always following NBC half-heartedly or full-heartedly? Every state was doing it. So do you think see the restriction?
It's certainly a restriction in planning, and I think literally hands tied behind our backs for a lot of cases. And thank you for that. And second thank you is thank you for taking the word code out of it, because I think there was a massive gun to our heads with, are we following NBC? And the question to them back was like, what are we supposed to follow out of it? Because it says too many small things in too many small ways, but not being very prescriptive. So I think that's a welcome change. In terms of, I'll maybe contradicting Nikita a little bit, where I think one unified code perhaps is not a realistic thing to achieve. I think it'll always be a state subject, and in cities which are evolving much faster, like Mumbai, like Delhi, it'll be a city subject as well. You may have fire recommendations, system recommendations, but your CFO will come with a 5-pager and then say, this is what you follow. Or you may have HRC suggesting that, hey, all of that's aside, this is what you follow. And wherever in doubt, please refer to NBC or NBCS now in this case, which then leaves another question mark. So I think the role of this document, as I see interestingly, is yes, high-rise compliances have become easier. And I think even city as their own set of regulation, or state as their own set of regulations, are evolving. They're starting to understand high rises better, thanks to the efforts of all my senior colleagues here. So that's evolving and changing. But I think one thing that I interestingly see in every time you start getting used to one set of books, there's a new version that comes in, right? So 2016 was still in the last couple of pages, then 26 comes in, and all my clients are like, Naya kya hai isme? So tell us what's new. So I think for me, what's more important is that we have 2 or 3 Indias, right? I mean, India 1 is sitting in this room where we have the best of knowledge, the best of expertise, where we probably know the best codes and standards available in the world that we can use for our domain and come up with a very good building. India 2 is the second tier that's aspiring to be in this room. I think there's a third India as well, which I think wants to know and learn. I think for that India, it's probably a very interesting reference. It's a very good reference where you can read it cover to cover and you probably think you can get the building right. So it's got its own guardrails. I think it has a very, very useful use case for those 2 Indias which want to come to this room.
So Sanjay sir, coming back to you, you have been developing some phenomenal residential buildings.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like picking up the phone and talking to the NBC, Mr. Arun Kumar or anybody from his committee, saying that when you have a fire tower, and which is termed as a safe passage, why do you need a refuge separately? Do you find that you always had also restrictions while you had a good document, but it was very harsh on you? And as a builder, like somebody said, you want to have the maximum FSI, which is, everybody wants the maximum bang for the money. What is wrong in it? So do you feel that it had restrictions which stopped you? And now do you feel that with this new relaxation coming in, you can probably use your experience?
Rajni, I will take as a very positive, because someone, as Nikita said, it's a confusing. But I think if there is a flexibility, I think it's to take a positive way. In all over India, you give a different topography, different kind of seismic zone, different kind of the wind zone. For that, every state has to follow some rule. But you just find in every state, they don't work so much in the documentation part. They are very poor in the documentation. This document at least help them. At least if they don't find something in their document, can they refer this? Because in the last 15, 20 years, you find we have changed, building materials has been changed, building types has been changed, very integrated buildings has been come up, building size has been changed, requirement has been changed. So so this document is very much, I think, supportive to work as a builder also. I think it's a very positive. And in a coming up, I think maybe the document will not fulfill many of the requirements, but in the coming up, you find then the height of the building will also increase. Climate is also changing. You find that 3-4 years. So there may be some revolution is required. Building code is again required to be changed. Building this standard is again required to be changed in the coming times. So I think if we take a positive way, putting a refuse area, something adding in the something features in adding in a building as per by the town and country planning different department. I think we should follow that, and because for a builder also, if something is not put up in that, what's the general, not a signature, but in general persons who come in, he tried to take, try to this building code, something, try to take a benefit, unwanted benefit from that. So I think it's a regulation from the building code is very much required, and for builders like me, we have a very much following in the document, very much in the to follow our these rules and bylaws, etc. So I think I would take it as a very positive.
Sandeep ji, आपसे question. You are a south-based developer predominantly, now coming and spreading wings in north.
No, first correction. We are pan-India.
You are pan-India. No, I said you originally started from south and now you are pan-India.
Yeah, we are pan-India.
So you are doing projects in Gurgaon also, and Noida also, and you're doing in Bangalore also, and Mumbai also. So do you agree with Nikita when she says that she wants one code, whatever building is being made wherever, or you go with Gautam who says one shirt cannot fit all?
Basically, this is not a question which does have a clear answer. I will just add to this because developer fraternity before RERA have been very smart, and what was fitting to them, what was suiting to them, they were all working on them. And it was codes were just being used as for a compliance purpose. As in a previous discussion, Kunalji has mentioned about the vertical fit hota hai, that's it. We will leave it with it and finish. And nobody was working on that the performance-based design. So now having the complexity, and the good part is that the end user by virtue of time, they have been very, very intelligent. And thanks to the discussion and debate among the global change, climate change and all that. So the end user is also have been very, very learned, and they are now choosing those developers who they are responsible towards the sustainability. And having NBCS 26 in place, so there is in a very broader way they have worked it around that what all has to, and they have touched upon everything. Whether it is my vertical transportation, or whether it is my structure, or whether it is my this. But till now, or largely if I put it across, I was just before this debate once you invited me on this. So I was just trying to work out an analogy in terms of percentage also. There is no authentic input on that. The fire chapter per se takes care of around 15 to 20% of the component, right? But you, because you have been dealing this day in, day out, and other consultants and architects like Amit, they have been dealing this. 60 to 70% focus is only on fire, because that is something which is mandatory before to you to get the building OC. So that's why the fire norm is more important. And frankly speaking, on if we talk of the staircases. Yeah. Right now, the new thing is that with the 15 steps have been added to the flight. Still, we as a developer or an architect, because architect work on a developer's instruction, no offense to architects, they work on developer's instruction. So we try to minimize the core area, because that is something which is getting loaded into sellable area and further getting into the efficiency of the building. So
we try to work out on the outer limit of the rise to minimize my staircase well and all that. So, but somewhere as a responsible developer and going into now the performance-based design, so this NBCS 26 definitely will play a vital role in going days to come. And I'm noticing Arunji is taking 3-4 points. So very soon there is going to be a supplement to this, which will make it mandatory for all of us to follow. And I would also request that if you are taking a note, so please add vertical transportation also, because that is the one subject which is not fully covered still in 26.
So this is what I wanted to ask.
Should I interrupt you, Mr. Pant? Rajneeshi. Thanks to Mr. Tak and Mr. Nitin and all those in the vertical transportation industry, right from NBC 2005, particularly in NBC 2016, Part 8, Section 5A and 5B, introduced this detailed provisions on lifts and escalators. Now in NBCS 2026, in Part D, Building Services, Section 5A on lifts, 5B on escalators, and 5C on parking solutions. Up-to-date technology which is available across the globe is already brought in the NBCS. Now it is for the right professional to choose it, and as rightly mentioned in the previous panel also, it's for the developer to pick and choose the right professional also. And second thing is that you mentioned about, Mr. Rajesh mentioned about what happens to those buildings which are not tall or which are not special. Even when NBC 2016 was there, Nikita ji knows that every state followed a different value for high-rise building. 15 is what was mentioned in 2016. Delhi initially started with 15, it picked up 17.5. Bombay, if I'm not wrong, had 27. Telangana had 24. Like that, every state had a different value. Now again, the value has been changed for a definition of high-rise as 24. But it is not that for low-rise buildings we have not given anything. The clause 1.2 of part of NBCS very categorically mentions that local authority should insist for at least a fire protection consultant's report that even the low-rise buildings are safe from the point of view of life safety. That is, how are you going to place your staircase? That's what we have been seeing. That has been given in clause 1.2. So at least I could see there is 2.5 and 1. Mr. Nitin is here to speak about NBCS.
Nitin, one question also.
I would like to add to what Mr. Arun was saying. You know, when we talk about this NBCS 2026 now, there is a lot of input in terms of elevators and escalators that has gone into it. When you talk about the chapter 4, we have the planning and all the requirements that has been captured. You have the traffic calculations built in details now. The previous panelists were talking about the vertical transportation, traffic issues, the sizing, the number of elevators and so on. So that is already covered over there. We have also covered a lot of electrical requirements in the chapter 6, which was completely missing. We are talking about the earthing requirements, the type of earthing network that is required, the protective devices that are required, which is comprehensively covered in this document. In the terms of escalators, also there are a lot of additions that have been done in terms of protective devices that are required, what are the minimum safety requirements that are required, and so on and so forth. So this document covers many things on the elevator and the escalator requirements now.
So Nitin, any hard
Sorry,
yeah, please,
so just to pick this up, and I think in the previous session also someone spoke about lobby. So just to connect the dots, if you go to the new, the bylaws in UP, so we get 10 square meter of lobby in front of elevators free. Now because of that single norm, whenever we as architects are designing the building and also when the developers are there, we really can design a lobby to its right proportions, have the elevators open up, have a breathable space around it, and it just ends up us focusing the efficiencies to the apartments. Initially, I think this was before RERA came about in around 2013, 2014, Bombay also had a law where any area in front of the elevator was free of FAR. Now that's a different thing. Some developers started using that to create some very different kind of buildings. I'll not name them, but then there were some buildings in Worli where we started doing 8 or 10 elevators, even for just 2 apartment, just to get the FAR free. And that is when that was abolished and the whole fungible FAR came into picture. But if you compare Delhi, Gurgaon and Noida, now I'm not saying that the laws should be same, but if Noida can make the FAR of the area in front of the lobbies free, why can't the same be adopted for Delhi and Gurgaon? And if you leave this to local authorities, who is checking the local authorities? Who is the person who is checking that there are different bylaws in different states are right or not? How do we ever come to that right implementation? Is there a central committee that can advise these people? Is there someone else like you who can then go to some of these different state governments and tell them to change certain laws which are not beneficial for anybody? So end of the day, that accountability now doesn't lie with anybody, and it is to each one's good heart or bad heart or average heart to check what they want to do in each of their buildings.
One more clarity in terms of the vertical transportation, which I would like to mention here to the all the members here, is there was a lot of duplication earlier in terms of NBC requirements and the elevator requirements in terms of the main technical standard and the NBC. So here in this standard, what we have done is whatever is the minimum essential requirement for the building, plus certain technical requirements which are required to be known by the developers, the architects, the designers, is kept over there. Rest of all the technical requirements are captured in the main standard, technical standard.
Very well. So Nitin, Kabhi, do you feel that NBC could be more direct in writing something rather than घुमा फिरा के लिखना है? जैसे now they say there should be a seamless shift to the emergency power supply. Why can't they simply write a UPS लगाओ यार? Haryana has ultimately done it. Haryana has said that UPS is a mandatory, whereas all other states have still not made it mandatory. So your take as an elevator professional, that do you need more straight advice from NBC on such patterns?
See, when you talk about the power supply or a backup power supply, there could be various ways. Why should we have a direct statement saying that it has to be done this way only? Okay, what is important from the building point of view is about the fireman lifts. So in the fireman lifts, you should have a backup power supply which is always available. There should be a dedicated feeder that is available for that, and it should be an automatic changeover. Now again, there is a differentiation here which has been made in the recent code in terms of the building heights, 15 to 60 meters and above 60 meters. 15 to 60 meters, it is allowed to have a manual or auto changeover. But beyond that, beyond 60 meters, it should be a mandatory auto changeover. Probably this is coming from the fire requirements, because the fire team would not have equipment which could reach the certain heights. And if you don't have this auto changeover which is done, you don't have a dedicated feeder, there are a lot of accidents that have happened in the past, which have created a lot of fatal accidents. People died inside the elevator. So this can be prevented. When you talk about Haryana, you talk about UPS requirements. This in itself creates a challenge, because when you talk about the UPS, batteries will inevitably come in. So the size, the space that is required for various capacities of the elevator, the motor ratings of the elevator will be a killer. So instead of restricting and having a direct statement over there, it is a choice given based on the technology that is available and what is the best option that is available for the building. It should be taken.
Gautam, one more question to you. Apart from your CVU representation, you also have experience in facades. Do you think that this 10 meter, every 10 meter, you need to have a openable window? Does it help?
I think the purpose needs to be clear. One thing that came about in discussions was for natural ventilation. Then you talk about what kind of building is it. If it's a centrally air-conditioned building in middle of Gurgaon or middle of Worli, would you ever open those windows? Then the next question is, okay, what windows do we need? Then comes the CFO mandate saying, I want a side-hung operable 1.5 by 1.5, and then I want a smoke vent. And then I think NBC sort of fades in the background with that conversation. So I think the purpose needs to be identified very clearly. It's also about what kind of buildings would require something like that. Hospitals, perhaps, yes. Schools, yes. Residences, what kind of climate are we talking about? Mumbai coastal, nobody will ever open their windows, ever, even if you provide them. If it's an office building, again, same answer. So again, I think again, it's about trying to identify, we are 23 nations stitched together as one, culturally very different. The places we occupy, the cities we live in, where it is. A prestige apartment in Bangalore looks different than a prestige apartment in Mumbai, than a prestige apartment in Gurgaon. So I mean, my wife is from Delhi, and every time I walk into the house here, I giggle like, "Kitna space waste hua hai yahan pe?" You know, I was literally giggling at the thought of a 2-meter balcony being coming from Bombay. 2-meter balcony, I was trying to imagine a space that large. So I think it's about trying to be suggestive. There's a thin gray line between. Something is being suggested to you or something is being prescribed to you. When a doctor writes medication, you just go buy it and you consume it the way it is. I think it needs to get closer to that with the confidence that you understand where your user is and how is he going to use that building.
Side, what sort of a matchbox houses are in Mumbai? Yeah, and the larger balconies and this thing. Yeah.
So, you want to say something, Arunji?
No, I was just adding all those points. In fact, of course, we are working on an amendment come errata to NBCS 2026. So we have already received about 7-8 points on the fire and life safety chapter also. So you can expect some more clarity which will come in this errata plus amendment. And same as what we did for NBC 2016, we will be initiating formally. Of course, various professional bodies are doing this seminars and webinars. We will be also doing, but we will do that after the publication of 4 more handbooks, which are based on parts 7, 10, 11 and 12 of NBC 2016. Those were directed to BIS by the Niti Aayog to be removed out of the building code, telling that your code is so bulky, let it only deal about structural safety, fire safety and electrical safety. All the other things be kept out of the building code. So for that reason, those chapters, namely part 7, 10, 11, 12 of NBC 2016 are going to come out in the form of handbook. After those 4 books comes, we will also be doing an event in our training institute in Noida. And more importantly is this particular refuge area you were mentioning. In 2016, the part 4 of NBC mentioned refuge area of certain size shall be free of FAR. It recommended to the states. Now, I don't know, Nikita, you only can say or others can say how many of the states adopted that particularly. And as regards the 10% opening, of course, as and when we will be publishing the standard for SHEVs, smoke and heat exhaust ventilation systems, then you can see a change in this particular value in the part F of NBC. So I'll stop here.
So, we will save some time for the audience interaction because, I think, before we go to that, one direct allegation on Arun Kumarji. Sorry, you are the person who is to take this because you are the person who's holding the hand for the entire country on. So many people say that you have written a great textbook. It is available on the bookshops. Universities have to adopt and tell the students that you read this. But the problem is the teachers themselves have not read the books. All the fire chiefs whom I meet across the country, they have been used to writing one line, approved subject to compliance to NBC, which means they have put it back on you. That if you have studied NBC and if you have complied to it, then I am signing on it. Now this is a bigger problem that even today, even when we are waiting for all the states to react, West Bengal is the only state which has written a letter and published it that we subscribe to NBC. I don't know if you have come across that letter. So I have a copy of that, which again, now that has been done blindly. They have said this will be referred to this will be referred, development control will be referred to NBCS, which is no more there. So they have not even read the NBCS and they in a hurry to adopt to it, they have said that development control chapter will be as per the new NBC. That has been removed from that. A lot of chapters have been removed. How do you propose to handle the situation that the teachers also read these books?
Yeah, in 2018, we wrote to AICTE and they also amended their syllabus curricula book, wherein for the civil engineers, National Building Code was introduced as a reference document. Of course, for in some of the architectural colleges, at least the part 4 was a statutory document to be read and some exercise has to be done. So we will continue to do that exercise of awakening the interest of like-minded people, because future engineers have to know about this. We made a 40-page guide for students particularly after NBC 2016. That guide will also be revised as soon as these 4 handbooks are done. That is the reason we have got this NBC cell. Apart from me, there are 3 other officers, and more importantly, I'm not Arun. I am only representing 1,400 people, including Mr. Tak and Mr. Nitin here. All of us were directly involved, and some of you were also involved as commenters on that document. And in case you did not comment, it seems that you probably accepted then anyway. But now it's more important that the Part 2 administration chapter had a provision that every authority should have a committee wherein frequently interaction should happen between professionals and the authority in terms of interpretation of their building regulatory documents or references to other standards. Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, they made reference to both Part 4 of 2016 as well as NFPA codes. Correct. Whatever was not there in NBC, they took reference or inspiration from NFPA. That sort of proactive writing of building regulatory documents is required wherever it is not there in NBC. It's not that you do on your own. Either do as per the building materials chapter, which talks about the innovative technologies can be permitted in a building, provided those 17 tests. Out of the 17 tests, the 6 tests have to be conducted in an independent laboratory, and the certificate of which will be submitted to the local authority, and the authority, if they approve it, you do any innovative construction, you use any material for your construction. So that way enabling provisions are there. Of course, the code is 3,000 pages. It will take time for people to understand. And thanks to professional bodies who are already doing some events, that we need to continue those events, and we will also try to do after we finish these handbooks.
So while you talk of innovative design ideas and performance-based design, now this NBCS has spoken very loudly about performance-based design. It very clearly says that if you are making buildings such as ATC or other high-rise buildings, you can go on a different tangent and you can go on a performance base. Now, a very interesting thing happened. I was designing the MEP for a very tall building in Kolkata, where they have adopted NBCS now. And we suggested that why don't we have a high pressure water mist suppression system, which is accepted at 140 kg pressure. You throw water droplets which cool the. So this is much more costlier. Uses stainless steel pipes and everything, and the fire officer sat through the presentation, liked it very much. He said, "I love this. Please add this to your design in addition to the NBC. So you still make 6 lakh liters tank, and instead of replacing that 6 lakh liter, so this is where we need you to come out and also educate these people."
Yeah, on a lighter note, we did not shout hard. Rather, we only whispered by telling that we are introducing the performance-based design. The idea of the government was that it looks good. You put it right away for all sizes of buildings. We know very well we wanted to start only for heritage buildings, which are being converted for specific occupancies or like assembly. But the need of the government as well as the developers as well as the users is that it needs to come in at the earliest. So our hands are tied up. We need more code writing peoples, and I'll be sharing my card also over break over there. We need people to write provisions for even this detailed performance based design. It itself will be a separate standard of 100 pages or whatever it be. So we need to do a lot of things, but only the enabling directions have been given in. At the end of the day, I would say here that all of us need to work closely with the local authorities and convince them that there are provisions which are good enough in NBCS, refer them right away, and wherever you have any problem, modify those values, and wherever there are lacuna, write back to us, and we will try and address them through all these 100 plus MOU partner institutes, including IITs, NITs, and institutes of repute, and various industry associations, like 45 industry associations are directly representing the civil engineering standardization work in India. So we will be involving more new people also. So feel free to be in touch with us, and so that we will also try to live up to the expectations of everyone.
So TAC, I saved 12
Rajneesh,
minutes.
I will request a minute. I believe
please.
I'm not taking more time. So I'll just add the performance-based design since it is being discussed. So I would like to, in a different analogy, since childhood we have been listening and being taught that the healthy mind lives in a healthy body. So our body, our building should also be livable, breathable, because in the previous session and the esteemed panelists who they have been there, they have mentioned about the rapid urbanization. So the population density is going to increase in the metros. They are going to be there in the high-rise buildings. And if the buildings are taken care of in terms of my natural ventilation, light and ventilation, and the other elements of this, so that the people living in those high-rise apartments, they are also healthy, and then probably this will take some time, but this is the next transformation which will add to the healthy and happy quotient of the generation as a whole. So that's where we need to work upon. That will take a long time, but definitely a day will come.
So I'll invite some questions from the audience. Anybody has any question for the panelists on this panel?
Hi everyone, I'm Ram from DLF. As Mr. Sanjay, you rightly said, see, there are books available, but the teachers are not aware what is the syllabus. Very good example, I'll tell you. Recently, Haryana Country and Town Planning, they have issued a guideline for EV charging station. The guideline is to have the, CIG approval for every EV charging station. Now, when we approach to Chief Electrical Inspectorate and Fire Department of Haryana, they were completely unaware of it. And finally, we have to keep our EV charging stations closed. So, the thing is that, ultimately authorities also should, aware of about the regulations. I don't know what we have, given for EV charging station in NBC 2026, but ultimately, the state governments are coming in such kind of regulations.
If I understand clearly, this code has been a little harsh on the EV, wanting a compartmentation of 1,000 square meters in place of 5,000 square meters of basement compartmentation. So they require only, so that is a hell lot of a compartmentation, and we are not allowed to charge our cars, electric cars, in the second basement or below. Only in the first basement you can do it.
It's very, very difficult now.
It is difficult.
Yeah.
But then I hope Mr. Arun Kumar is writing this point, and in the supplement.
No, we have already written, by the way, we have already written at the last line of that clause in Annexure D6, if I'm not wrong, right? All the above provisions are subject to change as and when new firefighting media for EV vehicles are going to come, number one. And I'm very glad that in the previous session, one of the speakers mentioned that they have got podium level parkings above ground. That is what we as a safe society need to have. At least for EVs go above. Today, let us accept there is no dowsing media for EV fire. I'm also equally thankful to the EV battery makers that the technology is going on a better scale. Only the lithium based alone is going to catch fire easily. The other newer ones, LFP and others, are not going to catch fire. We need to shift our parking areas either above ground or well above ground. That is one way. And more importantly, focus on finding solutions for EV fires. As and when we get a solution, this particular limit will be totally off. Number two, the electrical chapter permits your EV charging in every basement except the last basement. You want to construct 10 basements, go for 10 basements. You can park in all the 9 basements. You can do charging as per electrical chapter. It is only up to that local fire authority to decide what will happen in case there is a fire in an EV. We have only caution. We know very well, we don't know the answer for EV fire, so we have written it this way. And we are also wanting people to give us some solution. Anytime we will also come across from national or international resources, we will be definitely modifying that particular clause on EV. Of course, it may look pinching, but the answer is with the local authority. They can have such levels free of FIR above ground, that's all. All your open level parking structures where cross ventilation is there, they can have EVs particularly along the periphery. I would like to add, TCPO has just shared a document to all the states about EVCI, EV charging infrastructure, and that is going to help your particular query as developer. So you can expect after about a month's time that will be coming out from TCPO.
So just in continuation to this, the new code also says that the basement compartmentation need not be water based. It has to be brick and mortar. So Nikita is already fuming at this. And secondly, in case God forbid there's a fire in the basement and there's a fire curtain which is now recommended in the driveway, how the hell the car drives through it?
It's not that water has been totally removed. So it's for that again the authority only to say, see, at one end we have been telling that I am a water starved state. Why are you asking so much of water? That comment is also coming to us. You as a right professional are okay with a water curtain because it's a one-time investment of water in that particular project. It's not going to be an everyday affair. That is also right. So it's like we sitting in BAS are getting brickbats as well as appreciation. So at the moment, of course, we had to perforce remove it considering the water stress. But if you as a developer can provide water, convince your authority or fire officer and then do provide it.
Sir, he doesn't listen. He only says that my Bible, my Gita.
Your Gita has another chapter which is part B, building materials. Please read clause number 3 in it. It is giving you the answer. Call me, I will show you and open you the page, and then so that you will talk with the fire authority.
One more question?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Virendra Sharma from DLF. So, some of the OEMs are not providing the mechanical brake system in the MRL elevators. So, during the time of the people stuck inside of the elevators, there is only MBO or MRO, manual battery operated brake system is there, or in case of batteries, sometimes battery not works, in sometimes PCBs are not working, and it is very, very difficult. And in some of the in one of the my building, fire in the controller. So due to that reason, dense smoke inside of the hostway. But luckily there was no any person inside of the elevator. So and it is not written anywhere. So due to that reason, we cannot compel to the OEMs. So it is my humble request to add in the system that the this mechanical system must be there in, especially in MRL elevators.
I'll just get into it. MRLs is something that we are having a lot of discussions with the OEMs. There are a couple of hardcore MRL proponents here. I mean, I was also involved in it till, twice these thoughts came up. There are discussions on these issues, which probably is away from the National Building Code, like Nitin had said, that this is something that needs to go into the standards. I fully empathize with you because I've seen it happen myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's an issue which we will probably need to discuss it with the standard. By the way, you are on the standards committee. You are not.
Yes, yes, sir.
You've not been attending meetings. You need to shout a little bit. Okay, so I think.
Sir, second, one more question, sir, please. Sir, actually we have discussed about the waiting time, handling capacity, each and everything. But the elevator must be designed as per the Indian environment. We are purchasing the elevators from the China. Most of the OEMs are purchasing the equipment from the China.
It's again a fight that is going on.
Yes, sir. Sir, just listen.
You should attend this because we are talking about the QCO. We're trying a lot of these things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your experience has to come into these standards committee meetings. Please, for heaven's sake, my request is please attend these meetings.
Okay,
and
sir.
Voice your protest because you have seen both sides of the table. You are a consumer. You have been in the elevator industry. You know these problems.
Yes,
now,
sir.
the thing is, I'm overwhelmed by a lot of people who are OEMs pushing their product. I mean, Nitin will agree. I mean, there are others also who will agree to this. People like you need to stand up and talk.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
So, but it's not a national building code. It's actually IS 17900 that we need to be referring to.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just need to mention one thing. I mean, a lot of credit has to go to Mr. Arun Kumar, that the entire National Building Code didn't get chucked out. A lot of credit has to go to him that we still have a section on fire and life safety. The target for the DRC and the ease of doing business was that particular section. They wanted to chuck it out and use it as a handbook. Now, Nikita, I mean, I get calls from Gurgaon saying, you know, either they're asking for this, they're asking for this. I have a situation in a 500-meter circle, the requirements of the CFO is different, despite having a national building code. Now, NBCS, heaven help all of us. I think we will need to sort of cut it short because, you know, networking is the key area. This is the time when we are supposed to discuss and talk, not just on this panel. Thank you very much. I would need to just hold a little bit. Mr. Washington, unfortunately, I don't have the name.
Thank you so much for coming all the way and taking the bullet from one plate for the country.
A photograph. Yeah, right. Oh. I would like to now invite our chairman, Mr. Anil Hira, to close this session.
Thank you, Tak. Well, that was a pretty successful event. I really enjoyed it. Look, before I do the vote of thanks, just want to expand a little bit on Gautam just generally. And AI is fantastic. I just found, well, I sort of knew, but Delhi is the second biggest urban area in the world at about 35 million people. And if you predict next 10 years, Delhi is going to be the biggest urban area to 45 million. About 6 or 7 million bigger than Tokyo. And so there's going to be a lot of action here, and we have to take it seriously. It has got the biggest pollution in the world. And this is what, and buildings and built environment are the biggest polluters. And so that's the challenge we have as a construction industry. We really haven't progressed all that much in the construction industry. Individually, the VT has progressed, architecture has progressed. Probably the authorities think that they've progressed, but collectively, we really haven't progressed. And I think that is what CVU is about, vertical urbanism. We're not in competition with the Architectural Society of Architecture, the developers organisation. We just want to organise events where we get people from those organisations so that we can have a constructive discussion like we did today. It was fantastic. And none of the panelists actually hit each other. I think they're going to be having a drink together, and but we need a lot more of that. Now, Delhi the most populous urban area in the world, and we do not have a chapter in Delhi. And so we need to get people from the different stakeholders that form the construction industry and have constructive discussions like we have today. I think it's very, very important. So anyone interested, and it's not in competition with your other affiliations. If anyone's interested, please can we approach the people that have got CVU leaders. The leader thing here includes Gautam, myself. There's some quieter versions of Subodh, and there's Subodh there, Nikhil. Who else is here? That's it, I think. And Tech, of course, Tech. Okay, well, like I said, it's only me between us sitting here and the drinks, so I like to start thanking people. Firstly, the sponsors. I'm not going to name them, but they're all VT orientated, and I have to say, just generally, the VT suppliers and companies are tremendous sponsors for whole CVU events, not just in India, but internationally. They really have contributed a lot to CVU, and that's why they are very well respected, even though they're regarded as a probably second, third tier discipline in a building, but they certainly in CVU are right at the top. And so I'd like to thank the VT, each of the organisations, and I'd like to particularly thank for the people that came from overseas, including Germany, and I didn't realise, but all the way from my home country of Australia, a long way to come for this event. Thanks again. Thank you very much. Let's give them a big hand. All the panelists, thanks a lot for behaving and not hitting each other. But we had a good, healthy debate, both panels. I think we need to do a lot more of that so that we can get better and better in terms of coming up with the outcomes. So thank you, panelists. Tech, thank you. You've done a tremendous job. You know, Tech was pretty nervous all yesterday and today because first time he's organised something like this in Delhi. He knows it's hard enough in Mumbai, but you know, Delhi traffic, a lot bigger bases, and he's thinking that we might be talking to an empty room, and we weren't going to start on time. That was a done deal, but we did. And so thank you for that, Tech. It was a tremendous event, and thanks for organising it. And of course, the audience. Thank you for being here on time and participating. And lastly, there's always people in the background that, in fact, I haven't even met the person. But Tech told me that Neelam had a lot of contribution to it. So where's Neelam? Stand up. And she's a short person, so you can't even hardly see her. Why don't you just walk towards me quickly? But she's done a tremendous job, and thank you, Neelam, for a fantastic job. There she is. Thank you. Take pictures. Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming here. Let's have lots of chats out the back there. And like I said, please come and talk to us and see how we can do some future events so that we have a better environment. Thank you very much, all.